Hello there, and welcome to the stream on this Saturday, April 23rd. I'm Lost Chord of the YouTube channel The Little Platoon, and I'm standing in today for Mr. Brown, which means if you came here for his nice, warm, gentle northern charms, tough, because instead you're getting my mocking Shirebred drawl. This is my first time using this platform, so apologies in advance for any premature boomerism, but I hope you are all well. We're closing a week that's seen Hollywood obsess again over who has shat in whose bed and for what reason. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis going to bat for the kids to stop Disney doing batty things with kids, and bets placed on which will hit rock bottom first, Netflix's stock price or Ezra Miller's reputation. But today we're going to be focusing on something altogether more wholesome than that. A film from the distant past, a time when men were real men, women were real women, and nobody was allowed to self-identify as a small furry creature from Alpha Centauri, no matter how strongly they believed they were one. I think we're exactly 3 days short of the 10-year anniversary of The Avengers, the film that kicked off probably the best crossover arc in modern cinematic history. And since it can get a bit tedious going on and on and on about how abysmal the state of modern film has become, we thought we'd take this opportunity to indulge in some nostalgia for the days when our heroes were heroes, they did heroic things, and they weren't just slapped around by fan fiction self-inserts that derive all their power and morality from their vaginas. We have, as ever, an excellent panel lined up. I'm told they are entirely well-behaved and self-regulating, which will come as a surprise to anyone who's ever been on said panel. And now then, channeling God King Mr. Brown himself, first up, I'll mispronounce this, but we'll give it a go. She's the princess of Xanadu, but she's the queen of this channel, all the way from Texas. It is Reni A.
Hey, Lost Chord.
How are you doing?
Actually pretty good. I just rewatched this this afternoon and forgot about how good it is and really had a good time doing so. It's been a nice distraction.
It has, hasn't it? I've just finished literally 5 minutes ago. The film ended as well on my screen, and I'd forgotten how good it was. So I was going to start by asking you what you thought of it, but I think we already know. It'll be interesting to see if anyone in the panel just comes on and says, no, it was shit. But
yeah, I would hope not, but hey, you know, to each his own.
we can always yeet them from the channel afterwards and
That's
never see
right.
them again. Exactly. I think there's a question I'm supposed to ask you now, but I can't remember what it is.
Should we bring out the next guest?
That's the one. Next up, he is the Jester from Leicester, the channel's very own interior design specialist, novelist, Star Wars fan, and meme machine. It is Demon Scythe Swap Shop.
Well, hey, hello, you two. How's it going?
Oh, good, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. Thank you very much. I've been exercising a lot, so my legs are killing me. So I'm happy to be like lazing and laying up with my feet up on the sofa and with my laptop on my chest, just doing something completely inactive, like chatting into a screen, which is a nice alternative. That was a great intro, by the way, Lord Chord.
Thank you very much.
I was giggling the whole time, like a little girl. I can't help looking at this picture here, right? I can't help looking at this picture. Just before we start anything, I'm just going to say, oh God, Captain America, Chris Evans. He looks like someone's just called him a nasty name in the playground, doesn't he?
I know, but did you see his ass in those pants?
Oh God, well, I'm sure you did.
Yeah,
I didn't really. That wasn't really where my eyes were going, but still,
that's America's ass.
Yeah, well, as we all know now, yes. But anyway, Chord. Anyway, shall we get the next guest out?
That sounds like a plan to me. So, next up, set your Jedi Power Wands to stunning and brave, your Photoshop automation to full power. It is the wonderful, not Brian.
Hey, good evening, Lost Chord. Good evening, chat. Good evening, Matt. Good evening, Reni. How are we all?
Good.
All good, all good. I didn't actually ask Demon Scythe. I'll ask both of you this in succession, but since you've just arrived, Brian, we'll start with you. When did you last watch The Avengers, and how happy did you feel afterwards?
I watched it today and yesterday doing the slides, and I wasn't very happy at all because the slides were an effing nightmare, but apart from that, it was okay.
And Demon Scythe, when did you last watch it, and how much did you like it?
Oh, poor O'Brien. We can't do an EFAP, can we? We can't pause it every so often, so we have to have slides. Honestly, really, 10 years ago? What the hell? That's a decade. What's
terrifying, isn't it?
What?
I was chatting about this with the colleague on my channel, I think 2 days ago, and we suddenly realized it was the 10-year anniversary and suddenly became very aware of our own mortality.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I remember when the Avengers was it the Avengers or was it Endgame that was the climax of a 10-year planning stage of different movies, all accumulating into one sort of big finale. I don't know which one it was, but I thought that was scary when I found out that was 10 years. But this is 10 years ago, and now, oh god.
Don't you feel old? Brian, I am to ask you the question, the ultimate question.
Shall we get the next guest out, shall we?
That sounds...
That was creepily like Brown.
I think he should.
You say Brown's creepy? He's not creepy. Much.
Well, next up on my list was supposed to be Z, but he is involving himself in a belated domestic and will hopefully be joining us later. So we'll skip over him for the moment. And the last, for now, but by no means least, is the wise elder of the channel, writer, portal, the director, the paid-up member of the Selfridges Appreciation Society. He is the mega geek himself, Ian David Diaz.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I hate that intro. I hate it.
I was told I had to use it. That's the bit I wasn't allowed to rewrite.
Thank God Brown's not here. That's all I can say. What a dickhead. Anyway, such is life.
He's seething now. Oh, he's seething now.
Yoko's gone. We can party again.
That's all right. No, I'm looking forward to talking about this film because it's one of my favorites, and it made me feel like a kid. So, but I'll talk more about it when we move on onto it, I guess.
Absolutely.
But, yeah,
unfortunately, that means that there's no one here who hates it, which is disappointing. Maybe I'll try and pretend that I did or something. I don't know. I'll criticize.
My mum doesn't understand superhero movies, but she loved this. She didn't understand what was going on, but she loved it. That's all I can say. There you go.
Aww.
My mum just doesn't understand movies, and she loved it too. So
there you go.
That is something. Anyway, like, share, and subscribe as ever to Mr. Brown Alliance every Saturday, every Sunday. Live streams from around 10:30, assuming everybody turns up on time. Z. And shall we get on with a blurb, a little bit of blurb before we get going?
Always love a bit of
Do
blurb.
it.
A little bit of blurb. Everybody loves a little bit of blurb. So, Avengers, which was the USA name, Avengers Assemble for copyright reasons in the United Kingdom, came out in 2012, a very long time ago. Certificate 12, runtime almost 2.5 hours. The specific release date in this country was April 26th. So we are, as I said, I think 3 days short of that. It was directed by Joss Whedon back when we were allowed to like him. He wrote it. Well, he did the screenplay anyway. Story by Zach Peen, which is a very unfortunate name. And
Totally.
there's a lot of producers involved in this. Of course, Jon Favreau, Kevin Feige? I can never pronounce this guy's name.
I say Feige.
It is Feige, isn't it? Yeah. And Stan Lee. So this is back when Jon Favreau could actually produce things that were good, and Kevin Feige actually was employed, and Stan Lee was actually alive. So halcyon days. And the music was by Alan Silvestri, giving us that iconic score that everybody can sort of hum in their sleep, starring an awful lot of people. So we'll reel through these: Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark, Iron Man; Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, Captain America; Scarlett Johansson, Natasha Romanoff, or Black Widow; Jeremy Renner as Clint Barton, or Hawkeye; Mark Ruffalo, Bruce Banner of the Hulk; Chris Hemsworth, Thor; Tom Hiddleston as Loki; Clark Gregg, which is a name that you could reverse and it would still make sense; Agent Phil Coulson; Paul Bettany as Jarvis; Stellan Skarsgård as Selvig;
Yeah.
Kobe Smulders as Agent Maria Hill; and Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Mother Effing Fury. The budget was $222 million, but the worldwide gross was a reasonably healthy $1.5 bajillion US, which is why it's given us this cinematic franchise that somehow is still going. Rather than sort of the story recap, I know Brown has uploaded for us a trailer. So is everyone prepared to watch the trailer and remind themselves of a time when the world was nice?
Oh, always.
Bring it on.
You were made to be ruled. In the end, it will be every man for himself. What do? We we get ready. There was an idea to bring together a group of remarkable people. So when we needed them, they could fight the battles that we never could. Gentlemen, what are you prepared to do?
No offense, but I don't play well with others.
Big man in a suit of armor. Take that away. What are you?
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. If we can't protect the Earth, you can be damn sure we'll avenge it. Dr. Banner, your work is unparalleled, and I'm a huge fan of the way you lose control and turn into an enormous green rage monster.
Thanks.
That trailer was rubbish.
I like the fact that they used the Nine Inch Nails as
So
the
I'm saying
background music.
Trailer was rubbish. The trailer was just bad. I don't know who edited that trailer, but I could have done a better job with my eyes closed.
Yeah, I don't remember that version of the trailer. I'm sure I saw a different one, like back in the day. But there were things in there I remembered, but I don't remember that version of it.
Yeah, kind of sucked. Anyway,
as some random in the chat points out, the music has been removed for copyright reasons. So I guess the trailer is a good opportunity to go through. I mean, can everyone remove first impressions? Or can anyone remember their first impressions of this film when they first saw it? And Reni, should we kick off with you on that?
Sure. When I first saw the trailer, when I saw the movie.
Let's do general. Let's do the movie, because the trailer is, well, we found something we don't like about it, which is the trailer. So let's go to the movie. And what were your first impressions, if you can recall them, of the movie when you first saw it?
Yeah, I actually really liked it. I'm a big Samuel Jackson fan, so I was all for him being Nick Fury. I actually am a fan of the comics, and I know that Nick Fury doesn't really look like that, but I thought it was pretty cool to have somebody with a commanding presence as the background leader. But yeah, I like all the actors that play like pretty much who they play, as far as like the Avengers, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, and all them. I thought it was a pretty good ensemble. It was a fun movie. It wasn't, anything where you're like, wow, they really, trying to think, where you come out and go, oh, that was, a very well thought out this, that, and the other. No, it was just a very fun comic book movie, but it didn't have all the things that it has now. So, you didn't leave going, oh, well, that chick really taught that dude a lesson. You were just like, oh, that was a really fun movie. I really enjoyed it. And reminds me of the characters that I used to love reading about in the comics. And fun note, Alan Silvestri did the score, who also did the score for Back to the Future. And it drove me nuts when I left the theater. And I was like, why does this just kind of strike a chord with me? And I looked him up and I was like, oh, no wonder. It sounds kind of similar, or like it's got a little bit of a connection to Back to the Future, but he did Back to the Future. So that was why.
Indeed he did. Brian, your first impressions, if you can remember them.
Yes. Thinking back to 2012, I'd only just recently become a father, so how I managed to sneak out to see this is anyone's guess. Going in, I had a couple of concerns. I didn't think Loki was a strong enough character, or even Hiddleston a big enough name to be a credible villain in an ensemble movie of this type, but thankfully I was wrong on both counts. I thought Hiddleston's performance was really the highlight of the movie for me. His ability to be evil one moment, conflicted the next, sympathetic, and even comedic at times was truly remarkable. He actually, at the time, he reminded me very much of Richard E. Grant, who obviously went on to be on the Loki series. I think overall the movie was a blast from start to finish, pretty much. Great visuals, well paced, and had a really snappy script. there may have been a couple of lines here and there that were slightly cringeworthy, and I think some of the conflicts between the main characters didn't make an awful lot of sense to me. But I think that seems hypercritical considering the quality of the movie in general. One that I really enjoyed.
Absolutely. We've got actually on that thing Melvin Deeply in the chat who says you do need to bite your lip a bit when watching Marvel movies. He liked all of them, but they were very, very far from perfect. The suspension of disbelief isn't as easy as they make it sound. So, yeah, I mean, that's sort of accord with what you say, I guess. But you know, in a way, you kind of want to suspend your disbelief with this one, don't you? Because it is just this good, fun film. As you say. Alan Silvestri, I think there's an opportunity for a plug here because Alan Silvestri also did the soundtrack for Predator, didn't he? And Brown has a stream on Predator coming up, I believe. Are we allowed to pre-announce this one with the drinker, Critical Drinker himself, coming on to discuss Predator in a few weeks' time, I believe. But I'm sure he'll come on and give you the details closer to the time. So that's a bit of sort of a trivia link for you. Mega Geek, your first impressions. You like this film?
I really like it because it reminds me of when I was a kid and the dream about all these comics I used to read becoming a movie. Because even when I was a kid reading comics like Iron Man and Thor and the rest of them, I always imagined them being a movie. And I remember being a kid saying there's no way they could make a credible, Incredible Hulk. I mean, they tried it, Lou Ferrigno, but he's just a big muscle man painted green. Obviously, the Incredible Hulk is 20 foot tall and blah, 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 whatever.
It's
Same
the best
thing.
they could do in the 70s.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, talking about Iron Man, when I was a kid, I was like, there's no way they can make Iron Man look like the way he looks in the comics and the rest of them and stuff like that. So it was like a kid's dream come true for me when all the films started coming out and it led up to the Avengers. And I thought this film was I like to describe this film as wonderful. I enjoyed every moment of this film. There was not one moment that I didn't enjoy. If I had one criticism, it would be Captain America's costume. I thought Captain America's costume sucked. But apart from that, I thought the film was wonderful, and I thought the performances were great from every one of them. And I thought that Joss Whedon did a really good job in making this credible for the time. And that's all I can say about this movie. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fantastic movie. Somebody's missing. Who's disappeared?
No, I think we've just rejigged the screen because there's a comment.
Okay.
Is it Bigot? How do you pronounce that? Bridget. But anyway, Mr. Moore, Mrs. Moore, Ms. Moore, Person Moore. Paramount Marvel, so much better than Disney Marvel. And yeah, I actually completely forgot when I was watching this film that this was back in the pre-Disney Marvel stage, wasn't it? So this is Paramount.
See, I realized that when I rewatched it today. I was like, oh, no wonder it was so good. It wasn't Disney.
Yeah.
Swap Shop, I think you're last to go. Paramount era Marvel, considerably better than Disney. What were your first impressions of Paramount Marvel back in the day?
Oh, I'm utterly blown away by this film. I really didn't expect it to be this good. I thoroughly enjoyed Iron Man. I was one of the people that genuinely did enjoy the Hulk movies, although I had my criticisms of them. And Thor, I was kind of, it was all right, you know. And Captain America, I was kind of, it was okay. But when this film came out, it redeemed everything that I was on the fence about, and I was completely in after this film. And I think it's a lot to do with Joss Whedon's write. Did he write some of it as well? Because it was some of the humor and the lines were very similar to stuff that he's done.
I think he did.
He did the screenplay, yeah.
Yeah, and in Firefly, etc. There were, it was very kind of similar kind of dialogue. So I could definitely see his fingerprints all over it, and he did a fantastic job. And there were people gushing after this film and posting things like a blank check online, and it said, "Mr. Whedon, you can, have whatever budget you want to make the next Marvel movie or next Avengers movie." People were going insane. This film was so great. And it was, it's really strange. It's like, I can't believe it was 10 years ago, because the very day that me and 6 or 7 friends all went to the cinema to see it, my dad had a brain clot or a blood clot in his brain, and I had to rush to the hospital to see him. And everyone else had gone to the cinema to see Avengers, and I was kind of sitting there in the hospital in this in the emergency room with my dad and thinking, oh, good God, what's going on? You know, well, I thought I was going to have a fun night out and I'm just being faced with this. But luckily it was, you know, I was only there for like 20 minutes and he had to be taken away to somewhere else. But he was luckily stable and okay. And he said, there's nothing you can do. You're just going to be sitting here all night doing nothing. So you might as well go off and see the film. So I went, well, fair enough. As long as you don't need anybody to sit with you. And he went, no, it's fine. Go on. So I went as fast as I could from the cinema to the movie. And I got there just as Scarlet Witch was doing her interrogation scene. And so I'd missed like the first part of the movie. I didn't get to see that little chunk until
Wasn't Scarlet Witch, was it?
It
was
yeah,
Black
Scarlet
Widow.
Scarlett Johansson, I was thinking.
Oh yeah,
Black Widow. So I'd kind of missed a tiny little bit of it, but even though I'd come in late, it didn't matter at all. The film was so great, and there was a friend of mine who'd come with us, and he's very much into his action movies and fighting video games and stuff. And he's one of those people that sits there, like, say, during not that he watched Rocky movies much, but he's one of those people that will sit there during a movie like that, like a boxing movie or a fight movie. And you look across to him during the fight scene and he'll have a look on his face of like pure determination, like he's in the fight. And he'll be silent and he'll be like just engaged with the film. And he'll be like just sitting there going, oh God, that kind of like look on his face, you know. And I did this in the cinema when Hulk was fighting. And I looked across to him and I thought, I bet he's like, yeah, he is. And he was just sat there and I could see the look on his face. He was just sitting there going, oh, go on, son, give it, like this, you know. And I could understand why he was doing that because they got it so right. They got Hulk so right in this film. Thor, everybody was so right from their original single movies. This like joint film was just stellar in comparison to it. Was great in some of its parts. I think it's a good way of saying it. And you can still go back and watch it, and it's just, I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's about as perfect as it gets with the Marvel characters on film. For the first time ever, and they could show that ensemble pictures could be done perfectly in this way and give everyone a good amount of screen time, do justice to the characters, have a decent amount of resemblance to how they originally looked, even though giving them an update as well, you know, and making it more sort of relevant to today, taking cues from more recent comic books and stuff. And I was only recently did I realize that this was Paramount and everything else kind of after this was Disney, and it really shows, you know, when you think back. And this is why I enjoyed this film so much, and everything that sort of came after it, I was kind of something's missing, so it's not quite there. And I think this movie was so uncompromising with doing honor to the original source material. That's why it was so successful. And unfortunately, Marvel now, since Disney's bought them out, I think uncompromising isn't a word I'd use to make their movies. I think it's all very much compromising to identity politics and the Twitterati and everything, and it's suffering because of it. But viewing this film is just like a glimpse back into the pre-woke era of great filmmaking, great superhero. It brought superhero movies back into the spotlight, and they've been super popular ever since, in everything, in adverts, in media, in toys, in video games. Everywhere you look, you just put on one ad break on TV and there's something referencing superheroes. And this film did it all. So media and comics and games, loads of other aspects of entertainment and pop culture owe so much to this movie, I think. Other films after it weren't necessarily as successful, but this one was like a tentpole moment in cinema and in pop culture for me, and for a lot of people out there, I think.
Absolutely, it was a tentpole, and by the sounds of things, it gave people tentpoles as well. Shall we?
Especially with America's ass. Sorry.
I didn't notice that so much on the first viewing, but a little bit more this time. Yeah,
I sure did this time. Yeah,
you do kind of notice it, don't you?
Scarlett's in this time round.
Yeah, also that. There's a few decent artists in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll probably see some as we go through some of the slides. Shall we get on with the slides?
Oh, yeah.
There's some artists on this stream as well, isn't there?
I think that this is a stream for them.
Yeah.
Rightio, let's get cracking on the slides and let's see how much of this we remember. I think Reni and I have no excuse to forget it, and Brian has no excuse to forget it, given that we've just spent so much time. Well, he spent so much time watching it, and we've just watched it ourselves. Marvel, pre-Marvel, Disney, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the Avengers. It was the Avengers assembled in the UK, wasn't it? Because apparently there's some old '60s show that some people here might remember.
But also, it was when they released it over here. It didn't have the shawarma. Was it that stupid ending that they had?
The shawarma scene?
The shawarma scene. No, in England it didn't have it. It didn't have it. Sorry?
I mean, it was kind of pointless. But,
It was at the end of the one I saw. I saw it.
Really?
Well,
Yeah.
well, it wasn't. It wasn't when it got first released.
Oh,
It wasn't on it, apparently. Because I remember watching the film and waiting right towards the ending. There was nothing. Didn't have it. So anyway, whatever. Sorry,
I
carry
still
on.
don't know what shawarma is. So it's
what do we call it over here, Matt?
Don't ask me, mate. Shawarma. It's like burritos or something, isn't it? I think.
Oh, isn't it not that stupid stuff they used to eat? Where they, what's it called? I used to cut the meat off when the thing used to go round and round when you were drunk. And you
Kebab.
went into kebab. Isn't it kebabs?
It's probably
Is it not
something similar
kebabs?
to that. Something similar to that. Yeah, it's
All
like
right.
it's like some kind of kebab or minced beef or something like that in a wrap. Some that kind of thing.
An authority in the chat says it is a New York deli bar from Ethan Van Driver.
Arabic food. At my place.
Alternatively, it is Arabic food. I guess you find Arabic food in a New York deli bar, so that's the happy middle ground between those two positions. Anyway, this is not the What is a Shawarma stream. This is the Avengers stream, so let's actually move on with the slides. Paramount, yes, Paramount, as we said, is 100. Is the 100 years, Brian, you did the slides for this. Was it 100 years when Avengers came out, or is it 100 years now? For Paramount?
I'm sure it'll be 110 years now.
110 years of Paramount. There we are. And here we are with the beginning of the film.
Loki being handed the scepter.
Oh, Shield's based, isn't it? It's Shield's base.
Yeah. Just bring on the scepter stuff. So, like, because I hadn't watched this film for a few months before I watched it again today. What does everyone think of the opening scene with Loki and the Chitauri and stuff like that? Because I couldn't really remember that very much about the film. And as we move on to the slides, you don't actually introduce the main Avengers cast in the entire opening of the film, really. You've got some of the side characters. I mean, what do we think about the way this film opens?
It was okay. It was a very quick kind of summary as to what happened. If you think back to the Thor film, they gave you a whole monologue.
Yeah.
So I think it was a very shorthand way of giving you what was going on, what was happening, and then we're straight into the action, more or less.
Yeah, because you didn't want to waste half the film on recapping. I thought they did as well as they could with it. Like Ian said, I don't think there's really a part of this movie I didn't like, other than I did think that Loki's wig was kind of weak, but that's about it.
I mean, I thought, as I said, that they were trying to move things along. And Joss Whedon, no matter what you think of him now, he's a very talented writer. So he knows when to move things along and get the information out just enough so that you can, keep in step with the rest of the film. And to have that bit in the beginning, no matter if you didn't see the other films, you get the idea that there's the threat is coming to Earth.
Yeah.
So that was the whole point of that beginning and that bit in the beginning, wasn't it? So there you go.
Because that's the challenge, isn't it? Because you've got quite a few films leading up to this, the individual hero films, but you've also got to make this film that actually appeals to people who might not have seen all of the preceding ones. And
That's
you do
right.
still have to make it make sense to new viewers, don't you? Which I guess is, I mean, like Swap Shop, you do writing occasionally. Like, how easy, I mean, if you were doing your sequel, would you try and make, well, if you were to try and make it in a way that was familiar to new readers who hadn't necessarily read the first one, would you take a similar approach to this and do it as quickly as possible, or?
Probably, because I wouldn't want to take away from the main story of this movie. I'd want it to be its own standalone thing, ultimately, as much as possible. But the exposition is definitely needed. I think they did it right with this. They kind of, it was a good sort of lead into the movie, a good little stream leading to the river, based on the cues from the disparate individual character movies before it, without getting too bogged down, without going into too much backstory. So obviously that to keep the runtime down for it. I mean, personally, I would have had it make it about a 5-hour movie and put loads in there because I can't get enough of this sort of thing. But you have to make it concise for the people that get sore asses. So I would have. Yeah, they did it right. They definitely did it right.
He did it right.
Well, speaking of sore asses, I can now go back and do the intro that I didn't get to do before. When you need a protocol droid at your rear, ask Uncle Owen. Zee-Threepio is joining us.
Yay!
Hello, Z.
What?
Is he on rewind?
God. He's on rewind.
Z?
Someone's forgotten to plug in Zee-Threepio.
His vocal box is speaking backwards, and
You gotta take your finger out of the reach around before you come onto the stream.
Yeah, that protocol droid's got a bad motivator.
Got too many things plugged into his USB drive. That's what it is.
Maybe he forgot his oil bath.
Need to go to Torchy Station and get him some converters.
Well, we'll leave him to sort himself out, and hopefully he'll chime in eventually. It's probably his VPN doing something to him.
Currently sorting himself out by the sound of it.
Dear. Well, let's attempt to move on, shall we? So we have the introduction here of First Agent Colson, but then Mr. Fury himself.
That's right.
Woot.
Yeah, I love this scene. And it's the first time we got introduced to what's her name? The girl there. Can't remember the character's name.
Agent Hill.
Agent Hill
Yeah,
is the
Maria
first time.
Smulders.
Yeah, she's so lovely. Anyway, let's just move on, shall we?
Smoldering smolders in the corner there.
Yeah.
Reni, did you say that you weren't sure about Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury?
Oh no, I liked him as Nick Fury. I know he doesn't look like the comic book, the original version of Nick Fury, but he just has such a commanding presence. And when they introduced him at the end of one of the Iron Man movies, I was like, oh, they picked the perfect Nick Fury.
Well, you know the story behind that, right? So basically, they did a redo of Nick Fury, and the artist drew Nick Fury like Samuel L. Jackson, and Samuel L. Jackson's agent got wind of it.
Yeah,
and so they wanted to stop the comic, but they came to an agreement, and the agreement was if they ever made this into a film, Samuel L. Jackson will get first dibs on playing that character.
Well, that's fair, especially if they made him look like him. I thought they made the comics look like him after he took the part.
No.
Okay.
And then years later, obviously this happened. It's the same thing with what's his name? David Hasselhoff played him, didn't he? Played Nick Fury before him. So
yeah,
maybe they should have went for David Hasselhoff. But yeah, that's the story I heard anyway. And that's the reason why he got this part. So there you go.
Fair enough. He did a great job as Nick Fury. I really liked him as such. So
I don't know if it's true that story.
Yeah, I remember picking up the collected Ultimates comic in local Waterstones like years ago, just flicking through it just to see what the Ultimates was all about, and I just stopped on a page randomly, and it was like Samuel L. Jackson's face as Nick Fury. I thought, what's going on? Oh, that's interesting. Anyway, I sort of put it back, didn't think much about it, and then after he appeared in the post-credit scene in one of the previous movies, I think it was Iron Man. I just thought, yes, they're doing it. They're like getting Samuel L. Jackson in the role. That's amazing. I thought he would make a great Nick Fury. And this movie just proved it. He was just awesome in this film. He didn't. I would have preferred it if he'd had more to do and he got to be a bit more badass himself. But he wasn't one of the main characters. So,
but he was badass. He was badass because not physically, although he did fire a gun from time to time. But when he was talking to the council, he was giving them what for, and when they told him to fire the nuke, he tried to stop the plane from going on. So he was completely badass, as you would say. I think in this movie,
I would have liked him to do a bit more sort of shooting and punching and running around and stuff, but can't have everything.
No,
I guess you can't. Well, there's the action sequence coming up, isn't there? Very he has to shoot at the Jeep and all the rest of it. Speaking of, not of badasses, but of badasses, Z, if you are working, just say something and let us know you're alive.
Oh, testing 1 2 1 2.
Hey!
Yay!
Oh, sir, I do apologise for my tardiness, but Mrs. Threepio decided to have a malfunction. Well, eventually we ascertained that I was indeed correct and who forgot to recharge the moisture evaporators. It is wholly unacceptable to end an argument on, I'll be accepting that apology in the form of a blowjob.
Oh, God. So are you sleeping in the doghouse tonight, sir?
Oh, yes. But I got here in the end. That's the main thing.
You did indeed.
Yes.
That's the main thing. Do you
One
want
of
to
my favourite films. This is. The MCU was a family affair for us. We started with Iron Man, and with the exception of the Incredible Hulk, seen every single movie in the cinema as a family up until Endgame. But
Nice.
this was the one that we'd all been waiting for. This was the one, the big build-up. We've had a couple of mediocre Thor films, 2 barely intelligible Iron Man films, and a really good one, and of course the Hulk. But then this beast came along. God, I love it.
Me too.
It's kind of like the only analogy I can think of it, because would you say that this, when it comes along, is as big in people's minds as an event as, say, a new Star Wars film is back in the day when we didn't hate that idea?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was a lot of talk about the proposed MCU being a bit of a non-starter after some dud films, and a lot of people were asking, "Is the superhero thing done?" And this was back in like 2009, 2010, and no, certainly isn't. And this film came out, and I came out of the movie theater feeling absolutely and thoroughly satisfied with what I watched. I mean, you can go over it again and again and again. There's a lot of issues with this film. I'm sure we'll go through them later, but I'm happy to sit down and I watched this again earlier today and again during the week, and I'll never get bored of watching this. It's right up there with the big hitters.
Well, they didn't think it would go this far, because Feige and other producers produced. The first one they produced was the Incredible Hulk, and then Iron Man. So Incredible Hulk and Iron Man were being shot at the same time. I think one in Vancouver, and I can't remember where Iron Man was shot. So they found money to make those 2 films, but they didn't think it would go that far. They didn't think it would be 10 years later and they would be making the Avengers. So I think everything was holding on either the Incredible Hulk or Iron Man, and thank God Iron Man was a huge success. The Hulk was a success, but it wasn't that big a success.
See, that's sad, because I actually thought it was fairly good.
I liked it. Yeah,
I thought Edward Norton was a good Bruce Banner. Too bad he's a dick. But
yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So it's lucky, really, that that Iron Man took a lot of money. Otherwise, the Marvel Universe would never have happened. So, and also there was a risk with that as well, because the studio did not want Robbie Downey Jr. to play Iron Man, and they had to fight to play him. And also, they never had a script for Iron Man when we were shooting it, so they were making up as they went along. And Robbie Downey Jr. was basically ad-libbing most of the film.
Wow.
And so it's incredible how that film actually, ended up the way it was in the end. I mean, they had a rough draft of a synopsis, but they were just making up as they went along. But the Incredible Hulk was more, they had a script, they know what they were doing. It's strange how the Incredible Hulk kind of failed, and Iron Man, Iron Man took off. How weird is that?
Yeah.
Thank God for Iron Man. There you go.
I think it was Robert Downey Jr.'s charisma that really sold the role.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I never saw, well, he's obviously made the part his own in subsequent years, but I never saw Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark back then.
But he was like the perfect Tony Stark. He even went through rehab.
I mean, he made it his own, but I always felt Tony Stark would have been a bigger, more imposing kind of guy.
In the comics, Tony Stark isn't as charismatic as Robbie Downey Jr. Robbie Downey Jr., as Reni says, made it his own. In the comics, he was more of a serious guy.
Yeah.
There's one
Yeah,
bit
that's
where
a good one.
he was an alcoholic at one
Yeah.
point in his life in the comics. So it was Robbie Downey Jr. actually made that film work, because he is very funny in the first Iron Man movie, and you kind of immediately warm to him when he's being
Yeah.
really, really selfish and stupid, But
Well, and he
he's
struggled
selfish
with
and
his
stupid with
own
humor.
addiction too.
Yes, yeah, he
Yeah.
did, and he actually grew as a character in that film. Then he went from selling guns to not caring less to
Yeah.
caring about people's lives.
He's got a good arc in
Iron
that
Man.
film, yeah.
Yes, he
Yeah.
does. He does. Yeah. So there you go. Sorry, I shall stop.
They'll go on as long. I'm not on the panel, so someone has to go on at length about things. Otherwise, it will be over in about 10 minutes. It's interesting. I didn't know that he was not the favored choice to play Iron Man, because you can't really imagine I can't personally imagine anybody else playing Tony Stark.
Well,
Exactly.
Who was the preferred
Nick-
choice, if there was
no,
one?
well, I can't. I think it was Tom Cruise.
It
They
was
wanted
Tom Cruise, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And he's rumored to be appearing in the Multiverse of Madness as an alternate Iron Man.
Oh,
But
gross.
oh gosh, I forgot what I was going to say now. But Nicolas Cage wanted to be Iron Man, and he was begging to be Iron Man, but they
But he
went
can't
for
be a
Robert Downey Jr.
playboy. He's butt ugly. But it's so true.
Yeah, but yeah, so as I said, I'm grateful for the miracle that was Iron Man, because if it wasn't for Iron Man, we would never have got. Mind you, the second Thor film was absolute shit. We'd never got Captain America. We'd never got these great movies leading up to the Avengers, and then the movies leading up to Endgame. We'd have never have got that. So I'm grateful for that cinematic adventure, put it that way. But now it's all fucked. So here you go. Here you go.
Oh, we were being so positive until
Yeah, we were.
But it is, isn't it? It's the last thing you hear in Endgame is the sound of the hammer from the first Iron Man film, because I think everyone sort of recognizes that is the thing which gives birth to the entire franchise. Shall we move on with the plot then? So we have magical space crystals. Tesseract, that's the one. This is why we have your knowledge on the show, because I'm going to forget names. So we have the Tesseract being prodded and poked and things.
By the guy that was in Thor. I can't remember his name.
Selvig.
Eric, yeah, that's it. Eric Selvig. I love this. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's just said it's misbehaving.
Yes. I love this scene because it shows two things. It shows Clint Barton, which I like that character, but it also shows how badass and the man in charge is Nick Fury, and I just like the way he commands the room.
Yeah.
And commands everybody. So cool. That guy's really cool.
I mean,
Can
I just say, a lot of people say, the amount of effort that the certain actors put in, like Chris Evans, into his physique, and also Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, yes.
But Jeremy Renner made sure that the character was ambidextrous in because he shoots right-handed in Thor and left and right in this film, just like the character in the comics. And to get to that sort of skill level, he was actually trained by Olympic athletes.
Yeah,
in archery.
But remember, right, in those days, right, he wasn't a star at all, nor was Chris Hemsworth. These are people picked. They were the right actors for the right role. I remember seeing this guy. He was in House, an episode of House, and I didn't know who the hell he was when he was in House. He was just like one of the patients in House. And the same thing with Chris Hemsworth. I saw him in a few things before he became Thor.
He was in Home and Away, remember?
He was, yes, he was.
And
so
he
that's
was
what I'm
in
saying.
JJ's Star Trek.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand this want for getting big stars in Disney things, in Disney Marvel. They want so and so on it. Isaac's to play. What's his name? Just get really good actors that are not known, so they could be known for those parts. That's what they should do, and that's what they did Feige did in the Avengers. Cast these actors; they could act, and they were right for the role. So there you go.
Yeah, it's usually a sign of desperation, isn't it? If you've not got any other story to tell, you get the big name in an attempt to put bums on seats. So basically, if the next film casts Tom Cruise for no very good reason, then you can be pretty sure that they're a bit desperate at this point. If you cast Tom Cruise at this point, you are desperate, I would say. But
I agree.
Yeah.
I remember he first appeared in Thor. Was it Hawkeye? It was in Thor. And I remember when he appeared. People around, well, the friends that went to see Thor with me, they went, that's got to be Hawkeye. And then when we heard his name was Clint, we were like, yeah, that's Hawkeye. Obviously, because he's not wearing the costume of Hawkeye, that'd be really daft. But yeah,
I thought Hawkeye's name was Kate Bishop or something, wasn't it?
Oh man.
You're thinking of the alternate reality known as the MCU.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, no, I like this scene because he comes down and, I thought, oh my gosh, he's going to get killed. He just gets hypnotized, and stuff like that. And, I thought it was just I love this beginning.
Yeah, because Loki was killing everybody else. And it's like, oh man, you barely see Hawkeye and he gets killed right away. But thank goodness he didn't.
Yeah, he comes through the porthole and he gets his bollocks kicked by someone from Asgard, doesn't he? Oh no, that's a TV show. Sorry, I mixed those two up basically. So yeah, yeah.
Hawkeye in this scene is also he's the one who realizes that it's a doorway, isn't it? Actually,
yes.
And that's
he has
to tell Nick Fury that, which was a slightly peculiar one. So there's the portal, and then here we have Loki himself,
who kills a bunch of people rather than start crying like in the TV show.
Yeah. He could just kick him right in the bollocks, couldn't he? And he would have disappeared back in half. It was written by that.
And that's the weird thing, because the TV show takes place literally days after this movie ends.
Yeah.
That's why it's so shit.
Yeah. And it's hard to believe that they are, in fact, the same character.
I can't believe I cheered. This is how bad things have gotten. I was watching Temple of Doom the other day, and there's this bit in it. And I don't know if you remember the beginning of Temple of Doom. We're trying to get the diamond, and Indiana Jones is drugged, and everything's going haywire in that restaurant. And Indiana turns around and he punches this woman in the face. And I went, yes! And I couldn't believe I went, yes! Because that's not what happens to women these days, is it? On TV. I don't know if you remember that scene. She's like carrying something, and because he's so dizzy, turns around and smacks her in the face. Yeah. Anybody remember that scene?
I wish it was. I'll tell you what, because Kathleen Kennedy was in that scene, wasn't she? As one of the
could have been Kathleen.
She was bringing coffee to Steven Spielberg.
This stream does not officially endorse violence against Kathleen Kennedy or any other woman.
It doesn't. What's the word? It doesn't frown on it, I suppose, either.
Well, what if she brought the wrong kind of coffee? You don't know. She forgot the sugar or the cream or something.
But Kathleen Kennedy, she knew her job in those days, and she wasn't only the coffee maker. She actually saved Jurassic Park. Actually, she saved the actors in Jurassic Park because there was a hurricane coming, and everybody was trapped on the island, and she literally got a plane.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. She got the plane to save them all, and they all jumped in the plane, and they all flew out of there before the huge hurricane hit. And everybody was like, how the frick did you get a plane? And she was like, because I'm the producer and I know what I'm doing. So she saved everybody's asses. So there you go. That's when she was good. Now she's been
shame she couldn't save Star Wars.
Exactly.
Oh.
Exactly. Yeah,
but we're talking about good films now. We're talking about nice things. Stop being miserable. You don't want to mention
it's going to come back to The Last Jedi at some point, Ben.
Yeah,
once per stream.
We're only a week away from torture. Just saying.
No. Well, speaking of things we'd like to see happen to Kathleen Kennedy, here's some people shooting.
Oh.
I can't believe that Brown show. It's so toxic, isn't it?
There's sort of the ambition. If this show is still alive by the end of today, then this is going to be interesting. Anyway, Loki can't really be killed by bullets again.
No, he can't.
Like Kathleen Kennedy.
It's never explained, is it? That it's never explained because you see him get hit multiple times, but there's never any blood. There's never any holes in his suit or anything. It's never really established.
He's a god.
Who isn't? Yeah, and he has witchcraft like Frigg does, so he can just project his body or be a hologram, and they not even shoot him.
He's
I
a
guess
god,
the
so
Asgardian armor, I suppose, as well.
that's right. That's exactly what he's got.
And here he is
So,
probing Jeremy Renner, which is the premise for an
well,
universe porn stream.
Yes, if it was today and this was Disney, yes, he'd definitely be probing him, wouldn't he? Let's face it. Yeah, there you go.
Appropriately timed comment from Ethan Van Driver. This show is very problematic. Yes, it is.
So we
And we've got a long way to go.
Thank you for the compliment.
Yeah.
So Nick Fury, he's sneaking around to trying to steal the Tesseract in this scene now, isn't he? While Loki is probing everybody else in the
He
room.
stole it. Yeah.
He steals it.
And then Loki's like, please don't.
Loki's slightly delighted that Sylveg recognised Loki of Asgard.
Oh, yeah.
Scandinavian connection.
Doesn't have to get ugly, he says.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
Good
line.
Crew.
Yeah.
What do we think of Loki? Sorry, just very quickly. Like, what do we think of Loki in this film? Because obviously we know what happens to his character in the TV show, but even over the entire Avengers arc, his character, same with Thor, it changes quite drastically, doesn't it? As they inject much more comedy and less seriousness into these characters. Do we like this era Loki?
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
He's conflicted. He's a very compelling villain. He's sympathetic in a way.
But he never forgets who he is.
Yeah, he's making the choices. You see why he's making the choices that he's made.
Yeah.
He's going from being mischievous to out and out malevolence.
And you can see why he's made those choices. Even when they had the comedy in it, he still betrayed Thor. Remember when he got him out to jail? He still betrayed him or tried to betray him. So his character was intact. It wasn't like he was coming all soft and crying and all that crap.
Yeah.
He was still a villain, not to be trusted.
But there's little moments of vulnerability in there as well. And there's a little bit after just before he stabs Thor. You see, is he really doing the right thing? It's almost if he knows he's doing the wrong thing, but he just can't help himself.
This is where Nick Fury's vaping, but you can't see that. Gets two in the chest. Gets two in the chest. That's what he gets. Yeah. I love this scene where that's the whole place is falling apart, and why would he sit at the back though? Wouldn't you think he'd take the seat in the front? Really, wouldn't you?
Could he fit the spear in the car? Maybe it's too big for the back seat.
I'm assuming he could. Yeah, I mean,
so he can shoot people. Otherwise, he's going to have to stick his head out like Ace Ventura.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is he could use it as a weapon, like if he had to.
No, I wouldn't sit at the back. Would you? Anyway,
and then Nick Fury has to go and try and chase him down, and he gets to the chopper in this scene.
He does.
Yeah.
Get to the chopper.
The ground is starting to break up.
I love how the helicopter gets hit and Nick Fury jumps out and everybody dies. Everybody in the helicopter gets blown up. Top, and Nick Fury jumps out,
does a tumble, and he's good.
Yeah.
Superb use of plot armor.
Yeah.
Speaking of plot armor, Romeo Tango N-word Zeta in the chat. Loki can't be harmed by bullets. In this film, he takes punches from Thor, pounding from Hulk. Bullets, that's a dangerous choice of words. Bullets are pretty mild, really. This Loki is complex and compelling. Sorry, the show shits all over that. I think we agree that the show shits all over.
It does.
The character, do we not?
It does. In fact, that was one of the reasons I felt kind of slightly dodgy watching this today, because it just, you know where it's going.
Cannot unsee.
Yes, I'm afraid so.
And yeah, here we are coming up to the chopper crash, are we not? This is where Nick Fury is demonstrating his marksmanship skills. And there he goes. Is Samuel L. Jackson one of those people who does his own stunts? Or, because that's he must be getting on a bit to be jumping out of helicopters. I'm assuming he got somebody else to do that for him.
Yeah, I would assume so. He gets paid way too much money. He knows his worth.
Now then, the interrogation scene.
Oh, this is so problematic.
It's so funny because this is before, agendas. And, Black Widow's a badass on her own. She's not a badass because she's a woman. She's just a badass.
What do you think of the casting of Scarlett?
I like her as Black Widow.
Yeah. I don't know. I felt as if it should have been. Yeah, again, someone's bigger and more imposing. I'm not quite sure who I would have picked, but she just seems like a little small and. I don't know.
You wanted someone more butch and beefy?
Not necessarily butch, but certainly significantly taller.
I don't know. I think it's kind of perfect for me, but I mean, I get why you say that because she doesn't seem as like muscly and like all that, but she's also intelligent and she's highly trained. I don't know. I don't think it has to be a big and imposing person that's always a threat.
Yeah, I guess we're so used to seeing her in that part now. It's kind of difficult to think otherwise. The same as Tony Stark.
Yeah, true.
And this is back when they can write female characters, isn't it? So though she is, she is shorter and perhaps slighter than you might have imagined her, they write the character with that in mind, as opposed to her, arm wrestling Arnold Schwarzenegger and winning.
Yeah, exactly.
Intelligence and her skills.
Yeah.
And in this case, her manipulation.
Yeah, she's not stunning and brave. She's highly trained.
I thought Mark Ruffalo was a nice surprise in this. I didn't really know much about the guy. I'd seen him on a couple of things, but I thought he was excellent as the Hulk / Banner.
Yeah, because he does the menace, doesn't he? That sort of the on edge in this scene, particularly when he actually does do that momentary transformation to scare her. He does that sort of standing on edge quite well.
Oh, the stop lying or whatever he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after the interrogation, where she secured the services, here we are with some nameless politicians.
That is Jenny Agutter, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like a Geek's away, he would give you 5 minutes on Jenny Agutter.
Oh, he'll be gutted to have missed Black Widow in chains. But I'm sure we'll come back to that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded 5 minutes on Jenny Agutter back in the day, especially American Wolf London. Oh, I'm so toxic.
Well, unfortunately, you get her now, so I'm just
According to Big/Bigot Moore, Emily Blunt was going to be Black Widow, but had to pass due to doing another project. That must go down as a pretty bad career move.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's like I think Jason Momoa was supposed to be cast as Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think he leaked something or something like that, and he was dropped from the role and replaced by Dave Bautista. So I think that was a bit of a bum move by him as well. So it does happen.
Yeah,
it does. But he ended up in Justice League, so
I don't know. Aquaman did pretty well.
Yeah, Aquaman did, didn't it? Because that was the slightly jaunty. It was aware of its own vaguely ridiculous premise, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was purposely campy, but it was good.
That was a strange performance at the box office for that film. If anything, you would have thought that would have been the weakest performing one, and just blew it away.
Well, unfortunately, you have like half-naked Jason Momoa in it. I just don't see people not paying money for that, to be honest.
Speaking of people you'd pay money for, here we have the reintroduction of Captain America.
Woot!
He's Fury going on his recruiting drive, isn't it?
That's right. Because they showed this scene, or like a snippet of this scene at the end of... What movie did they show it at the end of?
First Avenger. It was at the end of.
So the first Captain America, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to say, but I was like, that can't be right.
Stark Tower.
Here is Tony Stark being a badass again.
That was a very, good very, very good sequence.
I think I actually prefer the physical armor transformations than I do the nanotech, because that just seems lazy. Whereas this seems physical and more real.
Yeah.
Well, in the comics, he did go from that to nanotech, didn't he? In the comics, so they're just kind of following the comics.
He was in the sort of the old style metal physical armor for quite a few years though, before they got to that kind of level.
Yes.
I wish they'd stuck to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the kind of the removing of his armor plates and sort of assembling a new suit of armor later on. I think it makes him a little bit more grounded and believable. And when he starts getting into the crazy kind of super advanced technology, you kind of lose the audience a little bit. You kind of think, oh, well, it's just so fantastic. You lose a connection somehow. But this sequence here was great. I just love the way they did it. It's so complicated when you work out what's going on. And the fact that it's CG, it just blows my mind.
It's funny because you should say that, because I remember after seeing this film and just investigating how it was made and that scene where he's flying through the city, all that CG, I'm like, that's all CG, because at the time I didn't think they could do that at the time, but yet they did all that stuff. Most of it was CG when he was under the water, when he flew out, when he was flying across the city.
But it looked pretty good for the time.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. So I'm like, wow. But who plays Peppa Potts again?
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Right,
Sorry.
She looked fine in this scene, if you know what I mean. So
well, because she's in like short shorts, but yeah.
Yep. She won't be in short shorts today if this was made today. Let me tell you that for nothing.
Do we think Tony Stark lets her sell vagina-scented candles under the Stark logo, or does she have to get her own company for that?
I think under the Stark logo.
I think she has to call it Potts brand.
Yeah. But there's this bit in it where this makes me laugh as well, when he was when Colson was trying to contact him and he pretends to be the answer machine. I thought that was quite funny as well.
And then the door opens and he's like, wow, security breach.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
His first name's Agent.
Yeah.
That sounds like a character that Trevor would make up. Fanny Candle.
Fanny Candle women in the chat.
But Robbie Downey Jr. is wearing platform shoes in this because he's shorter than her. I don't know if you noticed that. And I wonder why she was bare feet. I was thinking to myself, why is she bare feet? And then I probably realized that he was wearing platform shoes so he could be the same size as her.
Yeah.
Because if you look at it, if you always look at Robbie Downey Jr., even when he's at premieres, he always has these kind of flared trousers and platform shoes, which kind of gives it away really that he's trying to be a little taller. But there you go. I wonder how tall he really is.
I noticed it in the first Iron Man film. He's talking to the Air Force people.
Yeah.
Look at those lifts.
See, this film is so cool because this scene is so cool. Captain America's a man out of time. Colson is gushing over him because obviously he's got all the cards, and Colson is a geek just like me. And that fucking great ship that they're in, well-designed ship, and it just looks really real. I just love this scene, even if it doesn't have any action in it. I think it's really cool.
I think it's really heartwarming because he's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're with us. And, it's really cute, and it just makes it very, I guess, human.
Yeah.
Not so like, we're just a bunch of people trying to fight evil. It's, it brings a lot of humanity to it.
But also Chris Evans brings the I'm from the 40s.
Yeah.
Was it 40s or 30s thing about him? He definitely acts and he definitely looks like he's a man from out of time. Do you know what I mean? Surrounded by all these other people, and it works really, really well in my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
No, I think it does great, and I like whenever he uses the line, "Oh, I know what that means," or "I know what that is."
Coulson has his very meta line here as well, doesn't he? Because this is where they're critiquing the design for Captain America's uniform.
Yeah.
And Captain America says, isn't this a bit old-fashioned? And Coulson says, I think with everything going on, people could do with a bit of the old-fashioned about now, which is kind of a meta comment on the film's storytelling and the reason it's a success, is it not? Because it sort of takes an old-fashioned approach to storytelling.
Yeah, it does, and it's told very well. This story's told very well. I mean, it's not perfect, but there are a few bits in it that I thought, well, they should have done that way. But as I said, I remember the first time I saw it, I just loved it. In fact, after I saw it, I was really excited to see it the next day. So I went to see it again the next day. So that's how good it was for me.
Ben, may I pull up RRTNZ's chat there? Just on the
go ahead.
Points.
I must have missed it.
Will I take this one?
Go ahead.
RRT and Z in the chat says interrogation scene isn't problematic because Widow is in control of it. Russians are hitting her because she wants them to. Great casting. Well, I don't agree with this, but great casting. Widow is petite in the comics. Her size and looks are disarming. That's very true in terms of her being in charge of it. So yeah, could probably get away with that.
Mhm.
Could we get away with that today? Context isn't
No,
important to the new left. Is it?
You wouldn't get away with them smacking her, punching her. You wouldn't get away with that. They would never allow that.
Well,
No.
but I don't know. If you look at the scene, it's like it happened because she allowed it to. She easily beat all their asses like in 5 seconds.
Yeah, but just the idea of a man hitting a woman,
Oh,
it would never be played today. Never.
But a
It's
woman
just
can
stupid.
beat the hell
a
out
woman
of a
can beat the
man.
hell out of a man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just
Stupid.
stupid.
We're not doing the Amber Heard thing in this chat. Sorry.
Yeah, hashtag me poo. No thanks.
But this is the scene where you can see how I think this was leading up to Endgame, wasn't it? Because he was one of the minions for Purple Man. I can't remember his name now. God,
Thanos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other. That's actually played by Alexei Denisov, who was Wesley in Angel, husband of Alison Hannigan, who was originally up for the part of Maria Hill.
Oh, I prefer
Interesting.
Colby Smolder. Colby, I prefer her.
Hashtag me too.
Top trivia, boys and girls.
What a great visual effect this is. Everything looks so real.
Yeah,
Crazy.
It really does.
There was a chat from earlier from Romeo Tango and Zeta on that last scene we were just on, asking whether it's odd that Thanos is giving Loki the Infinity Stone, given that he's bent on collecting them, and if he knows where it is. But in theory, Loki could have run off. And I think there was another chat later on saying that couldn't Thanos have come and done Loki's job for him, rather if you want a job done properly, do it yourself. Did that actually occur to us at the time? Did anyone remember, or is that sort of forgivable?
Well, he does say it, doesn't he? There's one of the, I can't remember what film, one of the endings was, if you want to do a job, do it yourself. He actually says it in, and he takes the thing. Yeah.
One of the end credit scenes in Guardians of the Galaxy, he just grabs the Infinity Gauntlet and goes, "Fine, I'll do it myself."
Yeah.
I mean, as a villain, he's quite lazy because he sends lots of people to do shit for him while he sits in a chair for about 4 or 5 movies.
No,
but isn't that what the
that's what
high-ranking villains do?
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
what they do.
They intimidate people or coerce people into doing stuff for them while they just sit back and eat popcorn.
Yeah, they don't stick their hand in the jar unless they have to.
Yeah,
like the claw from Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, exactly.
Valuse's chair.
Yeah.
I'll get you, Gadget.
I love this scene as well, but look, I've got to admit, I don't like Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner.
I don't either.
I like Ed Norton.
Edward Norton.
Ed Norton was much better as Bruce Banner than this fella, but that's just me, I guess.
No, I agree, 100%.
Is that at all influenced by what we know of Mark Ruffalo as a person and the things he says and does, or is that just a pure casting decision?
He was actually considered for the role of Banner before Ed Norton was.
But Ed Norton brought so much depth to the character in Incredible Hulk. In fact, when I first watched The Incredible Hulk, I was enjoying the Bruce Banner sequences more than The Incredible Hulk. And I think that's what's missing from Mark Ruffalo's version of The Incredible Hulk. All he does is wandering around going, I don't want to get angry and I'm a scientist and stuff like that. But what's his name brought a lot of depth to it,
He looks so dirty. I'm sorry, Ian. He looks so dirty and grungy half the time. And I get the Hulk or Bruce Banner's always on the move, right? Because he's every time he, goes through a burst of anger, he has to move around or whatever so people don't find him. But Mark Ruffalo just basically portrays him as this homeless guy that never takes a bath, never brushes his teeth. And yes, he's intelligent, but I don't really believe his intelligence as much as I did with Edward Norton playing the role. He just really got into Bruce Banner properly. and I think he was done better. And I'm sorry that Joss Whedon and Edward Norton didn't get along, because
No, it wasn't that Edward Norton didn't get along with the producers of.
I thought it was Joss Whedon.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
He got fired before this film was even, when they were casting it. They didn't want him because he basically wanted to take control of the Incredible Hulk movie. There were scenes in it that he wanted in it, and in the end they took the control off him and edited it the way they wanted to edit it, and then he had a big argument, and then they didn't want to cast him again. But looking back now, I think there were scenes in it where I don't know if you've seen that outtake where he tries to kill himself with a gun in the snow.
Yeah, I have that.
And that's a really great scene, and Ed Norton wanted that in the film, but obviously powers that be said it was too dark. But that's exactly where you should go with Bruce Banner, because Bruce Banner has come to a point where he can't cure himself. Yeah. So what else is he going to do? Do you know what I mean? He's wandering around this thing. So that would add more depth to the character. And as I say that, if you look at the Incredible Hulk, his Bruce Banner version, in love with Betty Ross, trying to be one step ahead against the army, he was trying to capture him at every step he moves. His character was well versed, and you were drawn to his helplessness in life. But with this guy, I don't know, there was just nothing there for me personally.
I mean, I liked when he turned into the Hulk. That I did like, because, you know, how can you get that wrong? That's CG, you know. But yeah, and I think Lou Ferrigno did the voicing of the Hulk up until a certain point. I can't remember what movie he stopped doing that. But
I do like Scarlett Johansson's top there.
No, I'm sure you do.
Another problematic thing that I've said just now.
I mean, I'm looking at America's ass most of the time, so.
Ed Norton has that kind of portrays that intelligence and that intensity that's required for Banner.
Yes.
But as
vulnerability.
Yeah, that as well. But I quite liked, I must admit, as much as I can't stand the actor, some of the stupid things he says, rather.
Yeah.
But I actually quite liked him in this.
Melvin Deeply in the chat doesn't particularly like Norton's performance. He thought Norton's performance was like he couldn't be bothered to act. But I gather that's not something with which we broadly agree on this stream, but each to their own, I suppose, and their preference. Yeah. It's odd that you mentioned. I didn't know that story about him wanting to have the scene with the attempted suicide pudding, because there is a line later in this, isn't there? When
yes, there is.
He tried to take his life.
Yeah, and it's actually on the outtakes on the Incredible Hulk. I think it's Blu-ray and DVD, so you can
like
see
the
that
deleted
scene.
Scenes.
Yeah. But as I said, right, this guy, when he was introduced, I thought, yeah, okay, whatever. He brought very little to Bruce Banner in this version. Then again, he was under constraint because you had so many heroes in this. But I wonder if he was in the Incredible Hulk, I wonder how he would have portrayed Bruce Banner. He didn't really get a chance to. And then then in the film after this, he wasn't very good either. So you know, so I still say Ed Norton was probably the best choice. Could you imagine that scene where they were arguing in that room?
Yeah,
if Ed Norton was involved in that scene, it would have been so much better. It's just like, I don't know, Chris Eccleston should have been in the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who. It's like one of those missed opportunities, really.
Yeah.
Oh well.
There we are. So they are now flying off. Well, this is the reveal of the fact that it flies rather than sinks, isn't it? And you have the line from Hulk saying, "Is it a submarine? It's a bad idea to put me in a submarine."
Yeah.
And it takes off and he says, "Oh, that's much better."
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does he
badass again?
Yeah, what does Iron Man says? How did he see these screens? He turned.
See these? Yeah.
Oh yeah, Clint Barton's been hypnotized and
he's gonna need an eyeball.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so gross. Yeah.
See, even the trousers that Chris Evans is wearing is very much 40-ish, isn't it? Kind of 40s.
I was noticing that the jacket in the previous slides as well.
Yeah.
So this is the plan, isn't it, to go and find Loki? Or Loki's announced his position, hasn't he? So they think that's suspicious, but they're going to go and beat the shit out of him anyway.
That's right.
Well, Captain America was up, wasn't he? So it was his turn.
Suit up.
So I love that scene where they're trying to explain why other people are not in the film. Jane Foster got a grant,
Yeah.
so she's off. So we couldn't afford her. So yeah, there you go.
I thought this was a little bit sort of graphic for a
It
12 film.
Yeah, it was
On
cringy.
the subject of Natalie Portman, she was actually supposed to have a cameo in this movie, but she had to drop out because she was pregnant.
Well, could have shot her from the head to the neck, couldn't they?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
wasn't she also pregnant in Endgame?
Exactly.
And Revenge of the Sith as well.
That's right. So there you go.
She's sure pregnant in a lot of things.
But let's face it though. If you had a girlfriend like Natalie Portman, you know what I mean.
Easy.
I love
Was it the Dark World?
The sound that machine makes.
Yeah.
That horrible crunching, slurping sound.
Yes.
And you know exactly what it's doing. This is where you don't have to show it. You just know it's happening.
I was hiding my eyes in the theater. I'm like, oh, I don't want to see that.
The thing is, though, what makes me laugh is that he's just murdered someone. The Avengers take him away, and they're not law enforcement. Wouldn't the FBI and the CIA be like, he's just killed this man. Where is Loki? Oh, the Avengers took him out. We've got to talk to the Avengers, haven't we? Do you know what I mean?
Isn't the Avengers
Nothing.
like government funded, or S.H.I.E.L.D. is
No, they're
government
not.
funded?
Well, no.
But they are, because they answer to like a council of like government officials.
That's not government. I don't think they're government officials. I think they're above the government.
You kind of have that dynamic where the government aren't too happy about what's going on, and then obviously it leads into civil war eventually.
Yeah.
The film.
So they weren't linked with the CIA or whatever American Association thing. So, yeah, they're their own thing.
So having extracted that previous scene reminds me of being at the dentist, the noise, the sound, the general horribleness. But it gets them what they need, doesn't it? Because now they can use the eye to scan their way in.
Yeah.
Do we see where the gadget comes from?
No, we don't.
Loki's pocket?
He just pulls it out. He's just got it.
I think
handy.
Selvig made it, didn't he, or something? Selvig must have made it for them.
And then they can get in, and then...
Bloody hell, you try pronouncing that name.
Yeah, I know.
What was the name there?
Mr. Baldy. Yeah.
Heinrich Schaefer, his name is. It says it right there. Dr. Heinrich Schaefer.
It is. Yeah, I was just looking at across the top and thinking...
That was the letters going round and round. Yeah.
And they get what they came for.
Wow, the MacGuffin.
There are always men like you.
Reindeer games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Says Iron Man to him.
That's so funny.
This was a bit prophetic, wasn't it? It's quite relevant to today.
Neil.
It's a great scene, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Captain America comes and shows how tough he is, but was no chance against old Loki's strength and godliness, so to speak.
But here's someone who is.
Yeah.
Plot twist. Put some music on over the PA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Natasha Romanoff, did you miss me? He says there.
There was a few films where the villain wanted to be caught. I think, was it The Dark Knight that set it off? It was the first one.
I think so.
Yeah, the Joker wanted to be caught.
There was another one. Maybe the chat could come up and tell us what the other one was. There's definitely three.
That hat's a bit weird, isn't it?
It's a great introduction, though, because he doesn't even say hello, just comes in and repulses him across the street.
Yeah. I do like the way they got his fantastical suit to blend in perfectly with the environment and our world. When you look at the original comic character, you just look at him, he looks ridiculous, and you think they'd never pass today. He'd never be able to walk anywhere like that. But they've got him infiltrating a public event like this, and it kind of like fades away, and it's sort of his suit cloaks, and he's just wearing like a party outfit, and because of his, I guess, one of his abilities, he can just change his appearance. But even when he's in his full sort of supervillain garb, it just fits really perfectly well with everything. You know, it doesn't look out of place or anything. And in the comics, it looked crazy, but here it's, you know, it just works.
It
Yeah.
does. Especially those horns.
Yeah.
There's quite a profound chat, Ben. I don't know if you want to bring it up.
This one I believe you were referring to from Potato Revan. Did you know that Men Like You is an homage to the man who wouldn't salute, I think that's Hitler, after he married a Jewish woman, and that German man was a survivor of World War II and was Jewish himself, which is a nice touch from the creators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't get that attention to detail these days, do you?
No, it'll be he's gay or she's a lesbian or she's binary or whatever it is, and usual rubbish, isn't it?
10 years ago, when I were a lad, we used to have all these superhero movies where we used to have all this attention to detail, and then actually paid attention to the characters, and it was they gave them respect and everything. These days, it's all about who's having who in bed and who's sticking what where and all that. Oh, what a load of old rubbish.
Certainly,
some purple-haired land whale that would have stood up had it been made.
Oh yes, the sort of purple-haired land whale that's going to be clapping furiously throughout Ms. Marvel, going magic bangles, magic bangles.
Oh God!
Oh my!
Since we have a character debuting very shortly, this is a pertinent question, I think, from Melvin Deeply. Here is the question: what is better, Avengers Assemble or Thor Ragnarok?
Avengers Assemble.
Easy.
Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok changed Thor's character and made him a dork and a stupid idiot.
Yes, Taika Waititi sucked for doing that. He made Thor so freaking campy and made him a damn joke. I really do not like Ragnarok.
It just
And now
turned it
he's-
slapstick, didn't it?
Yeah.
Thor and any of these things should not be slapstick at all.
No, he made him into a total doofus. And yeah, you're right. It's just all about like, this is funny, that's funny. I'm like, that's not
now
Thor.
it looks like he's in love with Star-Lord, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now it looks like,
You know where they're going with it.
This this film has a really nice balance of the comedy elements and the action and the serious bits. You could maybe argue that Branagh's Thor in 2011 was slightly too more serious in some regards, especially the scenes in Asgard. But I think this gets such a really nice balance.
It works like it works in Star Wars, I think.
Yeah.
When you get the humor, it's necessary or a result of a certain situation. It's not forced in there just to make the audience go, just to chuckle. A lot of people say that there's a formulaic MCU style humor, but I think that only kind of instilled itself after this movie. The humor is definitely there, but they just took it
to the extreme,
too wrong in subsequent movies. This one, it was as you say, Brian, spot on.
It does work very well, Thor, in this film. He does. He's not a stupid idiot like in the other films, or fat Thor. Or
they make him into
like
a total fool.
In answer to the earlier,
that you wear her drapes. Sorry.
I was saying, in answer to the earlier question, this is from Romeo Tango and Word Zeta. In the eye-ripping instance, the CIA/FBI can't do anything. It takes place in Germany. The Avengers work for S.H.I.E.L.D. in the film, but nobody knows what power of legal arrest that gives them. To which the only answer I can give is that if you think the CIA couldn't go and disappear people from Germany, read about the CIA. They can they can black site Loki if they want to. I'm sure they have the power. And we also have some jerk in the channel plugging some piece of crap or another from Mr. Brown Alliance. The Critical Drinker is coming on the channel in a few weeks' time to discuss Predator from 1987. Press the notification bell. It is going to be a great one. The link is in the chat, and it will indeed be a great one because
that should be a drinking stream. I think in honor of the Critical Drinker, that should be a drinking stream. Whenever the words machismo, testosterone, or toxic are mentioned, everyone should take a shot.
We'd all be drunk by the end of the stream.
Yeah.
By the end of the stream?
Well, maybe the middle.
I like this little scene. I like this little scene. I think it's some pretty good acting, especially.
Come home, he says to him. Come home.
Thor's outfit was the best it's ever been. And they've never been able to top this outfit. I don't know why they changed it.
Because they're idiots.
Because they put on 5 stone swappers.
Only 5? More than that.
And he gives him
About
more
that.
power accidentally, doesn't he? By sending lightning into him.
battery power at 400%.
So-
He's like,
Yeah.
yes.
But this is
there
one
was a
thing that
mention that-
they've kept consistent throughout the entire franchise. Is every time Tony's suit comes up against something that he can't deal with, he builds it into the next version.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
That's true.
And to the point where in Endgame, he's actually got a construct which will absorb Mjolnir's power and then redistribute it, just like it did here, but without overloading the suit.
Yeah.
I think there's a mantra behind certain writers with ensemble features like this that I think it may have been Joss Whedon himself said that whenever you have heroes that are crossing over into a certain story meet up, then they have to fight each other first before they ally themselves together. And they did it so perfectly well in this scene with all three characters. It was just fantastic to watch this.
But you know what, right? Also, what was interesting about this film is that how commanding Captain America is. So Captain America is not as strong as Thor, or not as powerful as Iron Man. Well, he's kind of, I guess. But they all listen to him, don't they? So when he says enough, they just all stopped.
He's
Yeah,
the
he has
moral
that
compass.
thing about him.
Yeah,
he
he
has
is,
that thing
yeah.
about him that he
Yes.
commands. He commands through the purity of what he believes is true.
Yeah, he's
So
like,
people listen to him. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, you're fine. I know in the comics he was originally the leader, but I think it's because of what Brian said. He's like the moral compass. Like Captain America is always the goody two shoes, and he's always fighting for what's right. And like, you know, they even kind of poke fun at that with, I think, in Age of Ultron, where he's like language, because he always is like, you know, let's do the right thing. Everybody needs to, you know, do good. And, you know, I just believe because of the time period he came from, he doesn't believe that, you know,
No, but
things
even-
are the way they are sometimes.
I know I'm jumping forward a bit. Even the ending when Iron Man, because Iron Man, we all know Iron Man, we all love Iron Man. He even says, "So what's the gameplay, Cap?" At the ending, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He looks to Captain America for an order,
Yeah.
hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he's got this
Make the
natural
call.
ability, hasn't he? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, he tells him to make the call, doesn't he? Right?
Yes,
in
he
that final
does.
battle.
Yeah.
So he's the one. Captain America is the one that can kind of naturally coordinate everyone else.
Yeah.
And he does it in such a way where he's not ordering people, so everyone has respect for him. He's coordinating. He's not sort of ruling over everyone. He's able to plan and organize really, really well. And obviously, with that, he's like you say, he's the moral compass, and he's that he commands authority, but in a way that everyone respects. And automatically that everyone looks to him. So that's why they listen. You're right.
Yeah. What's that line he says there? Was it ant boot? Boot.
Ant boot.
He says, well, let me know if, what is it? So-and-so needs a magazine or something, he says at the end when he leaves.
Yeah.
Here they are again. So this sort of goes to the points that you were just making, doesn't it? Which is that you have them in this early stage where they are all largely pushing against each other. And it's sort of the triumph of the film is that they actually progressed their characters. And by the end of the film, they are all working as a team. Whereas here they're very much apart, are they not?
What was that joke he says? He says, be careful what you say, he's my brother. And then so-and-so says, well, he killed loads of people. He goes, well, he was adopted. That's true, doesn't it, at that point? Yeah, that was quite funny.
Yeah.
Someone started a petition back then saying it was problematic against people who were adopted, but that's not really. It's the joke is that he's trying to distance himself from it after.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a joke. It's a joke. So this scene was ad-libbed by Robbie Downey Jr. with the I don't know what he was eating. He was eating raisins.
No, blueberries.
Blueberries. Yeah, and he offers it to Bruce Banner. That bit wasn't in the script apparently, so he just.
Well, he used to hide food around the set because he kept getting hungry.
Yeah,
but the crew couldn't find out where he kept hiding it, so they just left it.
Yeah.
It must have been great to see when your actors just come up with little things like that just work, on screen.
Yeah.
Well, he's very, very talented and very fast witted.
Yeah.
Yes.
Robbie Downey Jr. And you know, you can't go wrong when you have someone like that as an actor on your set.
Mm.
You know, so they used to say that what's his name again? The guy that was in Ghostbusters who played Vecman. They used to say he was really good at that too.
Bill
making
Murray.
things on the set. Bill Murray on set, he's good at making things on the set. So yeah.
There's just for that previous slide. I know where Reni's eyes were in that scene.
No comment.
There are some
So
clever
it
shots
was-
later on, but I'm
it
sure
was
Brian
like-
would have got the best
yeah.
ones.
It was Loki's
Choose
plan,
our
wasn't
shots coming up.
Don't let me down, Brown.
it was Loki's plan, wasn't it? So get the Tesseract there so he can control them, and
Yeah.
then set the Hulk to actually destroy everything. So that was his plan.
Yeah.
Not a good plan.
The funny thing about this scene is that, you know, you see how carefully he's moving the iridium, but they're actually, if you'll see the start of this scene, they're actually in a van going down the freeway / motorway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like fucking.
It's got steady hands. I don't know.
Is that Kylo Ren's mask in there?
No, that's Hydra gear.
Hydra.
All of the weapons and everything have got the Hydra logo on them. They're from the first Avenger movie, the confiscated stuff.
That's right.
Which they're planning to develop into weapons. But this is one of the helicarrier's many secure storage areas, which he just managed to rip open, and no alarms went off, and there are no cameras in there either.
They're very trusting of their employees.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
This is the bit where she tricked him. Yeah, she tricked him basically, and she realized that he's going to set the Hulk on them. But I really hated the way she was dressed in this film, Black Widow. She looked far more sexier in Iron Man 2. Their hair was long, and she had that really great suit and stuff like that. And in this one, suddenly her hair is cut short for some reason and not showing enough cleavage and blah, blah, blah. You know, it's just, anyway, that's just me, right?
Oh, God, you're going to get this taken off here, Ian.
I hated whenever they changed. What movie was it that they changed her hair to blonde? I'm like, she's never been a blonde.
Yeah, I know.
That was stupid.
I didn't like that. It takes away her identity, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
You see, in the comic, she was sexy as hell. The way they drew her, the way she looked, and I still to this day don't understand why we're not allowed to see sexy women on screen.
Well,
Totally confused.
Well, I mean, Brian missed a great scene when she was leading the characters in through to the meeting room on the helicarrier. She's right in the middle of right in the center of the screen. And her, as she's walking, her butt in that outfit, you cannot, the eyes just go straight to it. But sadly, we do not have that slide.
But in Iron Man 2, it was the same thing when Tony Stark was in the donut place, and the shot is literally on her ass as she walks towards him and sits down on the seat. So, yeah, they were deliberately doing that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So problematic today, but accepted in those days.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wasn't that part of her skills, though?
Exactly. In the comics as well. Yes.
Yeah.
She could seduce her enemies.
Well, that's the whole point of the Black Widow.
People might be complaining about it, but it's comic accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Without complaining, it's not comic accurate because it got changed in the 80s when all the woke stuff started coming into comics. So they'll probably say that to counter it, wouldn't they? So there you go.
The peculiar thing was that the very people who were most sort of complaining about her being overly sexualized in these films then went on to direct the Black Widow film. And I think there are more lingering arse shots from that female director than there are in
there
any
isn't.
of these preceding ones. Are there not? I'm sure I saw a few.
No, there's none.
Oh.
There's none. Absolutely none. Absolutely none. In fact, they have all these white suits and stuff, and and they just look. It's just the plainest thing ever. There's no. She doesn't look sexy in that film at all, and it's hard not for her to be sexy, if you know what I mean. So it was just rubbish, that film. Anyway, so let's move on, shall we? Yeah.
So here they've discovered phase 2, have they not?
Yeah.
Yeah, which was to make everything woke. Oh no, that's the other phase.
That's phase 4.
That'll stop Loki.
Yeah. So they discovered that Shield is developing weapons, and in Nick Fury's defense, he says, "Well, we've discovered there's other worlds, so we have to protect the Earth." And Iron Man and Captain America has a bit of a tete-a-tete, and he takes a mickey out of his costume. And then Barton comes along with the ship. Sorry, I
didn't really get why. If you just go back to that previous slide, I didn't really get why there was this animosity between.
Because of the gem that was on Loki's scepter.
See, that's what I thought when I was.
That's what it was causing it.
Because it's got the Mind Stone in it, but we don't know that yet.
So the dead giveaway is the scene where Bruce Banner's looking at it, and he takes his glasses off and he rubs his eyes, and that's kind of like a sign that something's happening, that something's emitting from that.
See,
gem.
That's what I thought, but it didn't. Out. They didn't seem to be explicit with saying that was the reason.
No, it wasn't.
Really?
It was meant to be subtle. It was meant to be subtle, but
because that's what I
happened.
took out of when I first watched it. Is it that? And then they didn't really.
That's exactly what happened.
Expand.
It's quite overtly Lord of the Rings, though, isn't it? Because it's virtually the exact same scene as they have in Rivendell with the Ring of Power, making everybody argue with each other.
Yes.
Yeah, kind of, sort of, yeah.
I mean, a lot of Wokies online have tried to say that it's because of the Mind Stone in Loki's possession, which made him behave so nastily in this movie, which I think is a load of bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't Loki's real self. It's just because he had the Mind Stone.
Oh, get out.
They love Kylo Ren as well, don't they?
So I love how expertly Barton with his arrows, almost brings that ship down. He's amazing, isn't he? He doesn't miss.
When he
doesn't.
When he did that shot in the control room and the prongs entered the computer terminal, you could hear someone across the other side of the theatre go, "Oh, fuck off."
Look at Bruce Banner's trousers; they're weird.
Yeah, they
Reni,
get your eyes
off. Get your eyes off Captain America's ass, for God's sake, woman.
That's America's
I was actually looking at Robert Downey's. No, just kidding.
So it was that scepter that was actually making them all a bit angry with each other.
Yeah, because they really freaked out when Bruce had hold of it. They were like, "Bruce, you've got the scepter."
Yeah.
He's like,
because
they're like, "Oh shit, you're gonna Hulk out."
But he did Hulk out.
Yeah,
and that was another kid's dream of mine: the Hulk versus Thor. Because in the comics, the Hulk was the most powerfulest hero or thing in Marvel history, and then Thor came along and he kind of equaled the Hulk. And so when you were a kid, you always imagined there were a few comics where the Thor took on the Hulk, but it was always a stalemate thing. Do you know what I mean? So when I saw them two fighting, I was like, yeah, I remember the 70s comics. I remember all this stuff. Yeah, so it was cool.
The Mind Stone is officially less powerful than Captain America's arse, because the arse is the thing that's converted Mr. Brown. So, well done.
There you go.
Hypnotized him.
Yeah.
Power bottom.
Is there a little explosion?
That were two rocks that Thanos didn't get to put in his glove, weren't they? Could have been very useful.
Yep, explosions and Barton goes around beating people up and shooting his arrows. Iron Man tries to stop the thing from going round. Oh, that scene was quite good because she was really scared.
Oh my gosh,
that he was going to turn into the Hulk, and quite rightly so. He almost decimates her, doesn't he? He hits her and she goes flying. He just brushes her aside.
She does the terror very well, doesn't she? In
this
scene?
Yeah.
Like, especially even from the first one when he threatens to turn into the Hulk, and you can see how scared she is and she's shaking. Yeah. And then in this one as well, where she almost gets given PTSD because she's been chased by a huge green man.
Yeah, but in the next film, she's in love with Bruce Banner. What the hell?
Yeah, that was weird. That was a really weird, like, forced relationship kind of thing.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like the scene in between where you clip back to Loki's cell and he's got this really big
Oh, yeah.
shit-eating grin on his face when he hears the Hulk roar.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you're all fucked now.
Exactly.
One of my favorite scenes, especially this one, is also when Colson takes on Loki. I was shocked that what happened in that scene. I remember watching the cinema going, "Oh no, I like him."
Yeah, I was like really, I gasped in that scene because I didn't expect that to happen. I'm like, but he's a pretty big deal in these movies. What are they thinking?
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
What did the guy, the pilot, say?
He's angry.
That's it. Something about being angry, and he just leaps on the on the plane, isn't it? Starts tearing it apart.
Oh shit moment.
Yeah. But that's Joss Whedon's humor, isn't it? Although he always has little stupid humor moments in his films. That's quite fun. Iron Man trying to save the thingy, the Holly. What does he call it? A hovercraft? No, the skycraft. I can't remember.
Helicarrier.
Helicarrier. Yeah. That looks like a painting. That's weird. Is this the oh fuck off moment?
Yeah. he's not that good. He's not that good.
I love Maria Hills.
I do as well. She's like been in 6 MCU movies, and they've never made a Funko Pop of her.
No. Also, she was so hot in this film. I found anyway.
So here you get Captain America and Iron Man starting to work together, even if they don't like each other, don't you? Because they have to coordinate.
Yeah.
He has to pull the lever, and Iron Man has to do the thing. We had Romeo in the chat on the sort of the psychological side of their animosity. Some animosity between Cap and Tony, because Tony always heard stories about Cap from his dad, who knew Cap, so maybe it's envy. Tony says as much in Civil War, "God, I hated you." So they play that quite well across all the films, don't they? With all the crossover films.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought that he would meet him? Thought he was dead. Now I've met the person my dad really loved more than me. Yeah.
And Romeo again with a very effective answer to all the Loki simps. If Loki was only evil because of the scepter, how does that explain his nefarious actions in the Thor movie? It doesn't. Loki always had a dark side, no matter what the stands say.
Yes.
Who's Stan?
It appears to be running on some sort of electricity.
Yeah.
I know. It's like, yeah.
See the big red lever? He says to him. Yeah. God, that's a big muzzle flash, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are you always going to fall for that, or what did he say? I can't remember that line.
When are you not going to fall for that?
Going to fall for that, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I missed the bit where I wasn't on the stream at the time when you had the first caged introduction. They've actually got a bioscan, a thermo imaging of the room, and Loki appears as blue because he's an ice giant, and it's like little touches like that.
That's a good call out.
Which I really appreciate. I just wasn't on here earlier to point it out.
But after all this, right, so basically Loki's tried to kill Thor so many times, yet he always tries to find the good in Loki and always failing, because last time he found the good in Loki, he got stabbed by Loki. You think he learned his lesson. But now he's turned into a big buffoon now because of TT what's-his-face. So
Taika Waititi.
who cares?
Idiot.
He's an idiot. Yeah. He thinks he's funny. I saw him in that stupid movie with, what was that movie called? With
I liked him in What We Do in the Shadows. I thought it was pretty cute.
Yeah, that's when we didn't know him, though. Let's face it.
But after that, he was kind of a douche.
So Mr. Brown has taken the opportunity of not hosting to just plug away. As he says, we are back tomorrow, guys, talking Netflix going down the shitter, Disney Florida, Ezra Miller, and the Weekend TV. Credible alternative to the other channels. That's tomorrow at, I think, around 10:30. Although at this rate, we will still be streaming on this one tomorrow. So we can just roll straight into it. And here is the death of poor Agent Coulson.
Oh, no, man.
Oh,
He gets better.
No, he doesn't. I mean, that's stupid.
Not really.
Bloody
The way they
Shield
brought him
show.
back.
Yeah. Didn't even explain it properly. It's like the end of Sherlock when he jumped off the roof, and they never explained that either. So anyway, let's move on, shall we?
And we say goodbye to Thor.
Yeah.
And that's a very, very dodgy clip, Brian. That just looks peculiar.
He tries to pull her hair and she slams his head against the rail and it wakes him up. Well, yeah, and then she smacks him in the face and she wasn't taking any chances.
Yeah, she has to knock him out.
And
That's
he
what it
shoots.
does.
He shoots him. Yeah, that's funny. That's a funny scene.
There he goes.
Mm.
So the helicarrier is all manner of fucked.
Well, it's fixed.
It's fixed, but not back to normal.
Because they can't move, can they? And so they're stuck there. And then they will get very sad. And that's the departure of Loki.
Yeah, I'm always fascinated by films when they're in a helicopter or a plane and they're inches away from falling out of it, yet they still stand there. Especially in the helicopter scenes where the person's just like, yeah, okay, it's thousands of feet, but I'm okay here. I'm just hold on here, you know? Weird. And he dies. That's really sad.
He dies. And then Nick Fury manipulates them, doesn't he? Because he says that he found those cards in his pocket and they didn't get to sign them, but actually they weren't in his pocket. They had been in his locker. So that's Fury being a cynical, snide bastard, but a very effective one.
Yes.
But he did it for the right reasons, though. He wanted them to realize there's something bigger than them. And he made them realize that. And the talk between Iron Man and Captain America after this scene, they realized that they needed to work together because they realized that it was going to be Stark Tower that was I can't remember something attached to it, whatever. So yeah, Jesus Christ, look how big his face is. Chris Evans, look at that. Jeez.
Oh yeah.
Noise.
Noise. I knew I left
Chris
it somewhere.
Hemsworth isn't small. I mean,
it's like, I knew I left it somewhere. There it is.
Yeah.
And there's this whole scene that cut out of this, didn't they? You ever seen the behind the scenes of this? The scene that they took out, this scene.
No.
Are you an alien?
Yeah. That whole scene where he gives him his trousers and gives him the bike and so when you see him with the clothes on, he gives him Brett from Alien gives him the clothes and the thing and stuff. So yeah, the scene is longer, but they shortened it.
Like, why did they have him fall naked? Is it because his pants fell off because when he was the Hulk, they were stretched out? They never really said, because he said you were big, green, and naked. And, like, he had pants on at the time.
Now, when he fell out of the sky, I guess the pants fell off him.
I mean, I'm just curious as to why they had to do that. I don't know. That was silly.
I think the pants expand when he turns into the Hulk, but they do not shrink for some reason when he goes back into human form. So I think that's the thing they were getting at, was that he'd gone small again and they had fallen off.
But the guy saw him as the Hulk because he said you were big, green, and naked.
Oh yes, he did.
Yeah. So that's why I was kind of
hole in the Avengers. We found one.
Unless he was big, but not as big, because he was reverting.
Shrinking.
I don't know.
He had shrinkage.
Yeah, well, it's cold up there.
I wasn't going to make any comments about your trousers falling off when you stop being big, but since Reni's just got there.
Hold on, so he's the security guard for this. What is this place?
A derelict building that needs a security guard.
Yes, I'm saying, does it make any sense? It's a derelict building,
No,
so why do you
it
need a
just looked
security
like
guard?
an empty warehouse or something, you know?
I guess he could have been doing a routine patrol. I don't know.
Who knows?
Making sure there's no vagrants in there. Oh, there's one. He's green.
Yeah, I guess.
Mr. Brown suggests he was wearing stretch denim, which it's plausible.
Well, then
they did say that in the comics, didn't they? They did question it in the comics. They're saying, like, how comes his jeans doesn't get torn in half when he turns into the Hulk? And
well, that was the cool thing about the movie, though. Remember whenever he went shopping, he was like, "Do you have anything stretchy?"
Yeah.
I thought that was cute. It was a good touch.
Yeah. So he's coming back to his usual self. And they have the conversation about Red and my ledger, wherever it is. And it's like, well, don't you mean you've murdered a lot of people? Why don't you just say that? How many people have you murdered? So, yeah. So
but it sounds cool. It sounds cool when when Loki says your ledger is dripping red.
Yeah.
Well, it's very kind of her not to say to him, by the way, you blabbed about all my private shit to Loki, so thanks for that, asshole. I mean, she didn't do that. So I think she was trying to be kind.
Oh, shut up, you mewling quim. Always
this is the
telling me off.
conversation I was talking about right here when they realised something was up. So, but this is a really good scene, really good performance between Robbie Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, realising the situation.
What they need to fight for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had a request come through in the chat, which I don't fully understand, but Scotty R37 would ask, well, he asks Reni to tell him to shut up. So make a fan's day.
Shut up, Wesley.
No, I understand what that means. Because Reni's always telling him to shut up when he's on.
Yes.
So.
I understood that reference.
And he's basically, he used to be the channel's Wesley Crusher, so to speak. So there you go.
Look at those boots.
Did you say boots?
Yeah, those boots are weird. I don't like his costume in this at all. I think his costume was the worst. His costume got better as the films went on, especially in Winter Soldier. I love the Winter Soldier costume.
Just pay attention to the back.
Stupid. Sorry?
I'm sorry.
What's that?
I said, just pay attention to the back part.
Oh, right, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, Maria Hills. Oh.
She's like, that's not where you found them cards.
Did he actually go and wipe them then in the blood?
Yeah.
I'm thinking so, or put fake blood on them.
Nick Fury is hardcore.
Evidently.
Of course he did.
But he what you call it? He realizes the situation's dire. So, do you know what I mean? So he had to do something to get them to see the light.
Well, and you remember when Colson was dying, he said, like, you knew this would never work. We'd have to give him something to, and that was his last word.
Something to believe in.
Yeah. So I thought that was a good touch.
Yeah. And I was like, that, damn it, I really liked him.
I know. It's like, no!
Yeah. That's when, so the conversation that Iron Man and Captain America had was they realized that the highest point in New York was Stark Building, and that's where they were going to build that thing. So that's why he flies there and tells them to shut it down.
Yep.
And he says, I can't shut it down. Or something like that. I can't remember what he says.
Somehow Apple sell computer connectors that will connect your Mac to your alien force field generating device by the looks of things. I didn't know they did those, but apparently they do.
I don't know, but he's a bit of a genius, so he's probably created his own wires to connect to a Mac, or it looks like a Windows computer actually, to that machine. So
pertinent comment from Jacob Ironside in the chat, having talked about how badass Nick Fury is. We now know, of course, that he lost his eye to a space cat. So thank you, Captain Marvel, for improving that character immeasurably.
Oh god, that was so stupid.
I'm so glad I haven't watched that film. So that just doesn't
bringing down the man. That's what everything's all about. I explained why I didn't like the Batman. It's all happening. You can see it happening. If you can't see it, then you must be blind. That's all I can say.
I'm so glad I didn't watch the Batman.
Yeah.
We have a Hulk.
Yeah.
See,
that's so dumb, but it's pretty good.
It's really good. Yeah.
I love it. He's like, "You want a drink?" He's like, "Don't try to stall me." I'm not stall, threaten.
Yeah. Yeah, some good dialogue in here.
Yeah.
It's the source of the not a good plan clip, isn't it, that everybody uses in their video essays, including me.
But you know what, right? If he threw him through that window, you know how hard that window is, how tough it has to be to be that high as a skyscraper. If he threw him that window, he'd be unconscious.
Yeah.
Or even dead. Wouldn't he? He wouldn't have time to change into Iron Man, would he? He'd be dead. That's it. End of story.
Before he hit the ground, yeah.
Maybe that arc reactor in his chest keeps him from getting knocked out.
From his head getting smashed across the window? Don't think so.
This is one of the coolest armor up scenes, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it is. It is. They had more of the scene of the woman in the cafeteria as well, didn't they? Their hostess in the cafeteria scene. You guys know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they had two scenes that omitted from the film. So when you see the film and you see at the end and she's being interviewed, there were two other scenes that they took out of the film that introduced that character. So there you go.
Remy in the chat says Captain Marvel would be great if it had main characters we could care about, which is akin to saying Captain Marvel would be great if it were not a Captain Marvel film.
Yeah.
And concern for the warranty on the laptop that was used to hook up to the force field because
that's important.
What does he say to him here? There's two people who pissed off. I can't remember what was the line was. He says to him here.
Oh, and you've pissed off two people. It's me, and the other one was called Phil, I think is what he says.
Yeah, and then he fires him in the chest. Boom.
And not to derail the stream with Captain Marvel, but Melvin Deeply with a take. Captain Marvel wasn't that bad. Too many people pooping hedgehogs over it. It's worth watching just for Talos. That's an opinion.
It is an opinion, and I disagree with it. Captain Marvel was bad. It was absolutely shit. Basically, didn't care about anyone. They destroyed Fury's character. Literally shit.
They also lost track of the continuity, didn't they? Because in the first Iron Man, they're coming up with the name S.H.I.E.L.D., but they already have it in the 1990s in Captain Marvel. The Avengers is apparently named after her, so she's taking credit for an awful lot of subsequent lore. And as a character, she's kind of villainous.
That's right.
And vindictive.
And Captain America was dubbed the first Avenger as well. So, yeah.
Also that, yes.
So there you go.
I mean, it had a little ginger cat in it, so it's not that bad. It's not, it was a redeeming quality.
Now, I thought it was kind of cool that they, what was the name of the character that they had in there that she went against? That was also in Guardians of the Galaxy. God, I can't remember his name now.
Oh,
the blue guy.
Smurf guy.
Ronan.
Yeah, Ronan. I thought that was kind of cool, and I thought Samuel Jackson being in it was kind of cool. That's about it. I didn't really care for it aside from that.
And they poo-pooed all over his character.
Yeah, that's sad.
He wasn't badass or anything. And
they turned Nick Fury into a bitch.
Yep.
Oh, bless
That's
him.
why it was bad.
Mr. Brown loves old horrible feet, doesn't he?
He does.
You're a sick man, Brown.
Well, Brown loves anything with a pulse, I guess.
Not here to defend himself.
No, because he does say that in our group chat sometimes. He's like, hey, take what you can get at my age.
He's now confirmed. This is now official lore of the channel. He confirms. I do. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, we missed the bit where he tries to hypnotize him, and he's got the art reactor in his chest, and he goes ding, like, ding. Yeah.
What's going on? He's like,
this normally works. He says.
That was a little good addition. I like that.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Mr. Brown has downgraded. It isn't just he doesn't even require a pulse. It's just a long. Technically, that also includes people who are in hospital and having machines do the breathing for them. So we're getting into Jimmy Savile comatose territory here.
Now then.
I just got a really horrible picture of of Brown visiting like the ICU or something.
No dear.
Do they have Tinder apps for people on ventilators? I don't know.
Would they even be able to use it?
Wandering around the ICU with a T-shirt that says "Free Candy" on it.
Oh
my God!
Guys need to stop laughing because we need to move on.
I was trying to think of a segue, but how do you segue from that? Let's just go.
Sky beams! Sky beams! I love sky beams. This is a blue sky beam. It's one of my favourites.
Yeah.
I saw a very similar sky beam to this one in Batman versus Superman.
Oh my God.
Oh No.
Oh no, Man of Steel. It was Man of Steel. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as impressive. This is a much more impressive sky beam because it punches holes into the sky.
Well, it opened the door, didn't it? A doorway between their
So-
universe and this one. So
Z, are you saying it's not the size, but how you use it in this movie?
Oh yeah.
Hear me out, ladies.
boom.
I mean, something that powerful that can punch a hole that big.
Oh.
Where is your mind going?
This has turned into Carry On now, isn't
Sorry, Ian.
it?
And
Here we
down
go.
come the Chitauri. In the Ultimates comic book, the Chitauri are actually the Skrulls. They were just
Yeah, they were.
Yes.
another version of the Skrulls, but because they're tied in with the FF Fantastic Four franchise, they weren't
You
allowed
can't
to
use
call
the
them
name.
Skrulls. No,
Mm.
it wasn't until Disney took over that they actually could make an appearance.
Uh-huh.
And what, Captain Marvel?
Yeah, she spoiled the Skrulls as well.
Winning.
It's the Atari. No, it's the Commodore 64. There you go. I love this scene though. I love the action. I was on the edge of my seat watching all this stuff. I was so having a blast watching this film.
It was. I tell you what, this film moves so fast, I could barely keep up with it, and that's not a criticism, but it's
No.
just there's so much going on that you barely have time to kind of absorb what's happening. And I think that's to its credit. I mean, some of my favorite films are like that. I mean, Return of the Jedi was like that for me when I was 10 years old in the cinema watching that, and you're just like, oh my god, it's just the greatest thing you've ever seen. And then, but that just makes it better for when you go back and watch it again, because there's so much more you can see, and you can appreciate it in different ways. You can absorb things in different ways. But this film, this just reminds me at this point, the film was really kicking into high gear, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was.
Well, and that's the weird thing, right? I mean, it's
See,
not
that
a
character
short
there.
movie, but it moves fast.
Yeah, really does.
So you ever wonder, when you're watching this, why there was so much focus on this girl here?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
That's
I was
because-
trying to think where I'd seen her before as well, and she is.
I think some sitcom. I think.
Yeah, and she also plays the voice for Ellie in the Last of Us games. So I found out afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, there was 2 scenes in the film that included her.
Right.
That's why you see her prominently. So, but they took it out in the end.
Oh.
So yeah, this is when Thor gets stabbed, the idiot.
And you're like, no! But it's okay, he's Thor.
He's
really
Thor.
Yeah.
Oh, blimey.
It is a multi-purpose spear, that, isn't it? It can change people's minds and possess them. It can also shoot blue balls and give blue balls to people.
Yeah.
And explode airplanes.
Exactly.
Very good. What a spear.
Probably lets you see in the dark, maybe. I don't know.
And Romeo in the chat says, all my problems with this film ended at this point. From this point onwards, it was perfection for a superhero film.
Oh,
And,
nice.
having just rewatched it, it is an exceptional, because it's quite a long action scene, isn't it? But
It
they
is,
really hold
yeah.
it together. You don't get bored of it at any point.
Oh,
No, you really don't.
There's a scene coming up, isn't there, in this battle where it's all one shot. Zee will know about this, but yeah, I noticed it when I saw it. The camera never cuts. So it's just an amazing piece of.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is all green screen. This stuff that they built the road
Hmm.
and a few cars, but everything beyond that, it's all green screen and CGI.
So good.
When I was in the cinema, I was like, "That's green screen." Couldn't believe
Yeah.
it.
It's like the
I hope-
explosion, what we saw in the trailer, the explosion sort of running down the street. It's like, wow, that's huge if that's practical, but it's probably CG. But how can you tell?
Yeah.
Also-
the effects were good.
You
They're
know, the
really
thing
good.
that I noticed when I was watching this scene is how small they were compared to the city. Because when you read the comics and you see them battling things in the city, it doesn't occur to you how small these people are compared to the city. And this kind of put it in the front for me when I was watching. I was like, yeah, look how small they are compared to what's happening in the sky and everything else around them.
Yeah.
Scale.
Mm,
That this small group of people can like make a big difference.
big difference, yeah.
I really hope Brown got the shot, like, you know, where they actually do the whole like Avengers shot to the music.
It goes
and
around a
stuff.
circle.
On
Yeah.
that thing, he actually says here, the money shot is coming, folks. And I hope he means
Yay!
that scene and not something else, because we've had
It was Just not to blow one trumpet, but it was me doing the slides.
Oh, that's right, Brian. I apologize.
You see, Ian's trying to claim credit for your work, Brian. What's that all about, mate? What's that all about?
Shut up.
Let's send him a bag of dicks.
Yeah.
Stab.
Yeah, stabs him.
I still think it's crazy that Tom Hiddleston was up for the role of Thor.
Yes, he wasn't
Yeah,
he
that's
auditioned for it?
weird.
Too
He's so
skinny.
puny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know yeah. I mean, I guess he could have bulked up, but I just see him so much better. He's such a superior actor that, you know, he's just far better suited to that role, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, now he is, of course.
Yeah.
And he leaves his spare. What a dumbass.
This is the explosion down the street.
Yeah. So this is the first time you saw a full-scale attack by aliens and superheroes and heroines defending the Earth.
Yeah.
I guess. So this is the only this is what I used to dream about when I was reading comics.
Yeah.
Stuff.
What would it look like in the cinema?
Yeah.
Never be able to make that into a film. You know, that we've had to wait like decades for it, but they did.
Yeah. And Captain America is Captain America. Tells everybody, why should we listen to you? And then he takes on those two guards, and the policeman just does exactly what he says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was quite funny. Another Joss Whedon gag.
I'm bringing
the party to you. Yeah.
They're like, this doesn't seem like a party, man.
I don't see how that's a party. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is just the best scene in the entire movie. Oh my god.
Dr.
You see
Banner.
the gag reel.
Time to get angry.
Yeah.
Did you
I'm
see the gag
always
reel?
angry.
When they were doing it, when they were shooting it, he says
No,
that line, he walks and then he looks and he sees him and then he runs back and he goes, "You're on your own." He runs past him. That's quite funny.
That is incredible.
The Hulk, Incredible Hulk.
If you were nitpicking, you could just say physics. How does this apply? But you kind of don't. You with this film in particular, you really don't want to nitpick too much because it's just an enjoyable ride.
Well, how did Captain America save Black Widow when the whole thing was falling? He just put his shield up. I'm like, that's not going to protect you. Yet it did. So there you go.
Yeah.
It's almost Ant-Man physics at that point, wasn't it?
There you go, right there. Yeah. I'm
There
like,
you go.
what?
That's a good shot.
Oh my god, he's ugly.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think Brown would mind, would he?
No, not at all.
Well, it's breathing and it's got a pulse, so we've established.
Right, there you go.
Bonus,
There
it's
you
not
go.
in the ICU.
There you go, Pam. There's a lot of unemployed and undersexed Chitauri things around.
Yeah. That's a great scene, isn't it? That scene there.
Oh, yeah.
That's when for the first time they're together and ready for action, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love the bit where he goes, and Hulk, smash.
He's like,
It's a brilliantly balanced cast of characters as well, isn't it? Because you have the utterly ridiculous superhuman talents and strengths of Thor, and the genius of Iron Man, and the unstoppable Hulk. But you do have the sort of the lower key, very human and more vulnerable characters in Black Widow and Hawkeye, who are equivalently part of the team, and they humanize the rest. And it's sort of, I guess could you argue? Do you think that the absence of so many of these people now has been integral to why the MCU is struggling, whereas once upon a time it didn't, because they just don't have this balance of cast anymore?
Well, the characters that they have in the MCU now don't have character flaws, do they?
No.
They're loved and
no, it's not. I don't think it's that. I think basically what it is that Kevin Feige, before he was infiltrated by the idiots, he basically built up within those years, built up those characters with films and stuff. So you not only did you know them from the comics, but you knew them again. You were reintroduced to them again via the movies, and then when it got to this film, you cared about every one of them, apart from the Hulk, of course, because you didn't really need to care about him because he just smashes things. But and Barton, you didn't really care about him, but you did care about Black Widow and Thor and Captain America and Iron Man. So they were the key, those four.
Yeah.
So, and that's why it works so well, because you really didn't want them to get hurt at all. So there you go. I think that's the reason why.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I was just going to say that this film was one of the main reasons, the top tier reasons this film was so enjoyable for me, was because we got to see the Hulk as he really should be seen.
Oh God, yes.
Utterly 100% perfect in this film in every way. Like physically on screen, the way he behaves, his strength, fearlessness, the way everyone fears him, the way you just know there's no problem that can't be defeated unless it's, there's no problem that can't be defeated by punching. And he just does that with aplomb, and it just covers that character perfectly, this film. It's just when he punches that Chitauri carrier creature thing, and it just perfectly demonstrates in one shot what he's capable of, and that's only a fragment of his power, And it's just the first time we've seen it, and I was just I was in ecstasy when I saw it.
And yet Thanos beat him with like 2 punches.
Crazy, absolutely. Don't you get me started.
But punching solves everything, doesn't it, Amber?
Use your words. Use your words, Hulk. Yeah, there's Thor getting the lightning out, trying to destroy. I don't know why he didn't just stay up there. Anyway, whatever.
Keep doing that.
Yeah, exactly. He could have destroyed all of them. Perhaps there's no lightning left in the sky, I guess. It's a pretty amazing feat, though, isn't it? What they did in this film. Apparently, Kate Bishop was watching him from some place.
Yes, the opening flashback to the Kate Bishop show is this scene again.
Yeah.
Well, aren't half of them round the corner trying to avoid each other?
Yeah.
Technically.
That's a nice high elbow for an archer, isn't it?
It is. I've done archery. It's supposed to be in line with your ear, I think, from what I remember. I was better than you was, of course, but
I used to have a little plastic toy that used to fire arrows. But no, never did archery at all.
Used to do it at school.
This bit was stupid. I've got to admit, this bit where she goes, I've got to ride, and her arm would have been torn off. If she did that in real life, it would have been. She would have just been with no arm, fall to the ground.
I remember
people
say,
I need
highlighting.
A boost?
Sorry, what's that?
She was like, "I've got a ride. I just need a boost."
Boost, yeah, like no.
Come on.
I remember in Attack of the Clones that they made. A lot of fans at the time made that same thing. Anakin does something quite similar when he jumps down, just grabs it. Like, both arms are gone at that point.
Yeah, well, it's Scarlett Johansson, so you can forgive her. She's so hot. That girl's crazy.
Mr.
hot.
Brown suggests, Meggeek, that what you're thinking of is a Nerf gun that fired the arrows. Did you have a Nerf gun as a kid?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a Nerf gun.
I had lots of Nerf guns.
I've just ordered a Nerf gun, actually, shaped exactly like the Aliens M41A pulse rifle, but I'm still waiting for it to come through the post.
Are you planning to spray it black and rob a shop?
Yes.
I mean, this bit's okay. I thought if anyone would have done that, would have been someone superhuman. But to give it to, I don't know. I just thought this bit was stupid. But didn't spoil my
my
thing of the film. No, I thought it could have been maybe. I know it couldn't have been Iron Man, could it? I don't know. It had to be her, I guess.
Yeah, it's like the odd mechanics, isn't it? So she throws the first one off, and then she jumps on this guy's back and stabs it in the shoulders to use it to steer, because I assume she can't. So how does the driving thing here work? Because its head has been sort of swallowed by the steering wheel. Is that why she can't just throw him off and drive it herself?
I don't know. Don't know. That's when they work together, using the shield, zapping the thing, blah blah blah.
I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure what the point of this move is when Iron Man could just shoot them directly. Is it?
Yeah.
I think I don't know why.
It refracts the beam, doesn't it? So it turns one into multiple.
Yeah.
But not
That's
that
what I was
many.
thinking.
I think that's what happened.
Okay.
It was white. I love that scene.
Yeah.
Where the Hulk just decimates that thing. I love
Yeah.
when he punches Thor in the face as well. That was quite funny.
That was awesome. Absolutely awesome. God, I
Here
love
it is.
that. Yeah.
That's when he
For some
punches
reason, I thought this happened much earlier on, but obviously not. Yeah, but that was just a brilliant little addition. They didn't need to put that in there, you know. What a just genius bit of directing, writing, just adding a scene like that in there that probably would never get put in today. They just completely skate over anything like that.
Yeah. And he wakes up from his dream state.
So apparently it's a guaranteed way, isn't it, to de-brainwash people if they've been brainwashed by the stuff, is you just bang them on the head and they are instantly fine.
Yeah,
That's right.
Cognitive recalibration, I think she called it.
that's exactly what she called it.
You know what? You had to use the staff to actually stop that thing. Couldn't I just pull the plug out, or one of those wires? Pull one of those wires out or something. Could have stopped it, couldn't it? And again, here comes the army. That's a nice shot.
Yeah.
That's a bit where he goes into the building, doesn't he? And rescues all those people. That was quite nice little scene.
Yeah, it was.
It's
Pull his
very.
mask off.
It reminds me a lot of the original 1970s Superman. The bits with Captain America and doing all this stuff. Just the Boy Scout pure superhero type person who doesn't think of themselves and just tries to help others.
That's Powell's boobs, isn't it? That fella there. And Jenny Agutter is on the left.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I wonder where I see
So that's
I think
Jenny
so.
Agutter. Powell's boobs. I can't remember the other two.
So this is the bit, isn't it, where they are they want to overrule Fury so they can essentially nuke the city, which is
Which is a good
ridiculous.
idea.
I mean,
Then
they
again,
could
it would
have
have stopped it.
they could have just elected Bill de Blasio and you couldn't have told the difference. But
I don't understand these screens. What a stupid idea! It's like a glass, yet you can see them. Yet you can see right through the screen. What is the point of that?
To make it look like super cool technology that we don't
It's
have
stupid,
right now.
though. If you can see right through it, what's the point of having an image on it?
Yeah, it's like the mobile phone that was that Tony Stark had in certain movies, wasn't it? That its screen was just transparent. It was like, that is so ridiculously impractical. Why would that exist?
Why would you have a transparent screen? The whole point of the screen is you see the image.
Yeah,
not see right through it. It's a bit dumb, but anyway, whatever. Moving on.
As an aside, Melvin Deeply in the chat, Lost Chord sounds a bit like Mauler when he talks. I have to respond to this, if only because Mauler is Welsh, and so he has to work to attain what I've been born with. So he's from he's from the he's from the principalities, and I'm superior by definition because we rule.
He's the Lord.
Swiftly on.
There we go. That guy. Yeah, and he catches it and he thinks, yeah, you idiot. And you think, that's smart me, and it blows in his face.
Yeah, it's great.
And he falls back at Tony Stark's place. Falls right back there for some reason. I am a god, you. There he goes. Bang, 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 bang.
Puny god.
Yeah.
I fucking hated this bit. I know it's brilliant, I know it's funny, but I love Loki, and I hate to see him getting thrown about like an empty tracksuit.
But in the cinema, people were just screaming with laughter. I remember being in a packed cinema watching this film. Everybody was having a blast. Everybody was laughing at every joke. People were just so excited. People were screaming and cheering and stuff. This bit just cracked everybody up. They thought it was so funny. It's just films like this is a communal thing, isn't it? If you enjoy it even more if you see it with a hyped up audience. And for me, that's cinema for me.
It should be bringing people together rather than moving them apart. Sorry, Z.
The expression on Tom Hiddleston's face when Hulk grabs him is real.
Yeah,
because they actually filmed this by tying a rope to his leg and not telling him when they were going to pull it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
I like the idea of him, his like smug superiority throughout the entire movie and being a god and like invulnerable to this, that, and the other. And then Hulk just comes along and no, you're not.
Yeah.
And then he's like,
there are
that scene. Yeah.
So there are far fewer jokes in this one, aren't there? Than if you would compare it to a later Marvel film, or certainly even a later Avengers film. Would you say that they've got the balance in this one better, or was there?
It was the first time. It was the first time they did it, so the balance was what it was, and then everybody started copying it. Even the latest Disney Star Wars movies tried to copy that humor, but Joss Whedon knew exactly what he was doing. He went overboard with the rest of them, with the Ultron film. But there's some nice stuff in Ultron as well. But he just went overboard. He should have controlled it. In this one, as I said, it's the first, so he didn't know what to expect, and it was a welcome bit of humor as far as I was concerned.
Good balance for me compared to the ones that happened later, for sure.
Yeah.
I've been told off by Romeo for slagging off the Welsh. We can speak your language, but you can't speak ours. Cymru am byth? I don't know, because I don't speak their languages. So moving on.
You bastard. Have you seen the outtakes of this?
No, is it good?
Hiddleston's just sitting and he's absolutely pissing himself laughing, trying to do that, trying to deliver that. It's very funny.
There's some nice little bits of humor in this film, and you know the Gallagher thing was quite funny as well. That man's playing Gallagher,
He thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
And then you think he just said that, and right after, and when the last bit of that scene is, he switches it on and he is playing Gallagher, isn't he? That's kind of like foreshadowing that gag. It was quite funny.
Very good.
Yeah. I like the bit where she literally falls off that thing and just rolls and she's okay. I was like, what? Would you be splat? Comes Thor. Oh, Iron Man's so cool, isn't he?
Yeah. He's cute.
Really cool, yeah.
And this is where it all starts to go slightly pear-shaped for them before the final victory.
Yeah, well, you think they're all going to lose, because even when they were hammering Hulk there, Hulk destroyed him anyway, so...
So this is where
that was a decoy, wasn't it? That was the decoy.
Yeah.
So the decision has been made. Fury isn't in command anymore. They are going to go and nuke the city.
But do you know how this film was going to start? It was going to start with Maria Hills being interrogated by the council, and she was basically slagging off Nick Fury. That's how the film was going to start, but they decided to go for the other beginning. They've actually got the outtakes on the I think it's on the Blu-ray.
Just think of this, him hitting that aircraft at that point. That would have been sacrificing all of them, because every one of them would have died if he'd hit the nuke.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Well, I think in some films they said if you blow up a nuke, it won't go off. You need to do something to it. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, it's anyway, a fail-safe mechanism that only before it actually reaches its target.
In an interesting continuity note, when the pilot of this aircraft says 2.5 minutes to detonation, it actually is 2.5 minutes before that bomb explodes in real time.
Oh, that's cool.
Good stuff.
I mean, fail-safes on nukes are not perfect. There's a famous one. I think they were flying over it was Arizona, I think they were flying over, and a reasonably populated area, and the plane carrying the bomb accidentally dropped the bomb, and there were 4 fail-safes in the bomb, and 3 of them didn't work.
Oh,
so they came within a millisecond, essentially, of blowing up a large Arizonan town.
Oh,
so...
But how could they accidentally dropped it? Do you know what I mean? Was somebody carrying it on the plane? I mean, come on. How could they accidentally dropped it?
The bomb doors just opened. Unlike in TLJ, because we haven't done that yet. They don't just you don't have to press a button to do it. It just happens sometimes.
Yes, just fall out like some badly fitting anal beads.
What, you think it'll be all tied up and everything? How could it fall out? Why would you not tie it up?
Is that a question about the anal beads or the bomb?
That's what I was going to ask.
Wait a second. Z.
Yes.
Do people get measured up for anal beads?
Oh, God. Oh God, where's this stream going?
I think you found a very, very niche category on Pornhub.
Right, I'm off to have a look.
Pull up the screen swappers. Let's all have a read.
I think Brown's going to get cancelled.
Have you seen the outtakes for this as well?
I think I have seen this bit. I can't remember what
Hemsworth
happened.
keeps missing the hammer.
dropping his
Oh,
hammer.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it took a few takes, didn't it? Bless him.
You see, the least powerful Avenger is the one who shuts the portal down.
I like
Yeah.
the way you did that. She's like she's the key to everything. No, she's the key for this, for taking down the final component, I guess, of this plan.
But the thing is, though, she could stop it, but it was Tony Stark that basically stopped them, didn't he? By sending a nuke up to and once he destroyed that ship, everything else died. So yeah, she didn't really save them all. It was Tony Stark that saved them all.
Yeah, he saved them all by like blowing up the nuke, or shooting the nuke in a different
She had the power
direction.
to shut. Yeah, she had the power to close it.
Yeah, but she just
um,
kept them from coming back. But
but
no
Tony
more.
Stark destroyed everyone. So if he didn't destroy that ship up there, then everybody would still be working. Once he destroyed that, everything died because they're hive civilization, aren't they? So
that's teamwork.
Yeah.
So this is the bit, isn't it, where they get the payoff on the earlier line where Captain America accuses Tony Stark of not being prepared to lay down over the wire to let someone else crawl over.
Yeah.
Within this film, they do that character progression, which is nice. You don't see that very often anymore.
That's true.
Mm. And like Stark said of Cap, everything that came good about you came out of a bottle, when he clearly demonstrates his command and leadership throughout the movie. So that they kind of become the polar opposites of what they accused each other of at the end.
That's so cool how it looks all smashed up and scratched up, and looks really cool.
Melvin Deeply in the chat points out that Black Widow did in fact save the universe by jumping off a cliff, which is
that's true.
Yeah, true.
No, she didn't save the universe by jumping off a cliff. Iron Man saved the universe by
she's
by literally clicking his fingers and getting rid of Thanos. So it's bollocks. Shut up.
If she hadn't jumped off that cliff, then they wouldn't have been able to get the Soul Stone in order to, put back in the gauntlet for Iron Man
Renee,
to do that.
The TVA would have appeared, melted her, and did jump off the cliff.
My bad.
No, she was just one facet of it. But if the truth should be known, is Iron Man saved the universe. Because he's the one that got the things off Thanos and clicked his fingers. Nothing to do. I mean, Widow played a part in that, but Iron Man saved the universe. You don't take that away from him.
Well, I suppose it's the old every
What?
band needs a front man, but every front man needs a band kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Congratulations, Disney! You killed off your most popular MCU character.
Exactly. That's what they did.
Dumbasses.
Bunch of idiots.
I like the contribution that the bestest ever Captain Marvel made to that fight in that movie.
Yeah, jack shit.
She got punched in the face. I thought, yes, that was awesome.
It shouldn't have been her. It should have been the Hulk taking on Thanos.
Yes, it should.
Yeah, but he was the professor.
No,
which is
it should
a
be the
lame
other
character.
Hulk. It should have been when the whole building came down. He should have turned into the Raging Hulk, and the Raging Hulk should have beat the crap out of everybody, not this stupid bloody Doctor
But instead,
Hulk.
they chose to make him the Professor Hulk, which is like the lamest, least strong version of the Hulk ever.
Yeah,
So.
he did absolutely nothing in that final scenario.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Now, was it? I mean, it was them that they basically changed the playing field when it came to male heroes in that film. That was just the start of what Marvel was going to do and what they've done now. This always puzzles me. This. So the distance between him and the front of the mask, I'm confused.
I think it's closer than what they show us. I just think that they're just trying to show us like what he can see in there. Like, we're supposed to suspend disbelief. He doesn't have that much room in there.
I'm confused.
I think
Anyway,
it's like a virtual environment, isn't it?
I
that
see.
Only he can see.
Yeah.
We're seeing what he sees through his eyes, but from a different
Yes. That's what I was trying to say, but just not able to say it, evidently.
That's the best I can put it down.
This is his attempt to call Fanny Candle Woman.
Hey,
she wasn't Fanny Candle Woman then, was she?
I think she. Oh no, she was doing something else. No, she was steam cleaning her vagina before she was selling vagina candles.
Oh my god!
Really?
That was a thing.
She was shagging Chris Martin.
Also,
That's right.
Until they consciously uncoupled. No, it was something to do with like steaming pebbles and doing stuff with pebbles, and that was apparently good for vaginas and therefore health. Just Hollywood.
Just
But
stupid.
inconveniently, she does not pick up the phone because she's too busy watching the television.
Which has a perfect signal when you're up there. Fantastic. You can't get a signal on your phone. You can get a signal of the TV in the air on a plane.
So Romeo in the chat says, yeah, Hulk never got his rematch with Thanos. Even if he lost, it would have paid things off nicely.
Exactly.
Everyone cheers when Thanos blasts Captain Marvel away, which is true.
She was shoehorned in that film. There was no reason for her to be in that film at all. A lot of people say, really but she rescued Iron Man. It's like, no, if she wasn't in the film, would have been another way of rescuing him. So shut the F up here.
Yeah, there's a version of Endgame called the Defeminized Edition.
Nice.
Which actually removes all the woke nonsense at the end, including the somehow all the females managed to team up into one scene clip. They get rid of all the Captain Marvel stuff, so it's a much more punchier, shorter version, but it does make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
There's
on alternate versions, Jacob Ironside has an alternate suggestion for the way Endgame works. They should have gone back in time and picked up Hitler and sacrificed him by throwing him off the cliff, get the stone. But that's an idea, but don't you have to sacrifice someone you love? So wouldn't you have also to find a neo-Nazi who loved Hitler to push Hitler off the cliff?
True, or Ava
There
Braun.
was one there. If you think of the scene, there was one right in the close vicinity. The Red Skull.
Yes, Red Skull, of course.
There you go.
So they could have just made Red Skull sacrifice Hitler, and then this is a Marvel what if comic, basically.
But then Red Skull turned away from the Nazis. Remember, he kind of branched off and wanted to do his own thing and didn't really believe in everything Hitler believed whenever
he wanted to take over.
In Captain America's first movie. Yeah.
He wanted to take over. Didn't believe in the Nazis.
Yeah.
God, that's an old phone.
It's kind of funny how serious this scene is, and then they get a big smiling face of Tony.
Yeah.
Tony's calling. And then not playing Gallagher.
Is this them watching to wait to see the nuke go off? Or watching Tony Stark go up? I think that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And there he goes.
Another great Superman-esque moment.
Yeah.
Phallic imagery.
Big holes.
Go straight up.
Oh God.
And this is when what's his name wasn't the Vision. He was still Jarvis.
Yeah.
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
And there goes
Blows
the big
that up.
mothership. So that's the
Blows at the mothership. Everybody dies.
That hive mind gimmick is slightly overused, isn't it? You fit it in
Yeah, a little bit.
The Phantom Menace,
I was just thinking
Game of
that.
Thrones, and Avengers.
Well,
Yes, but
as long
at
as it's
least
done
they
in
did
an
it properly.
entertaining way, it's fine as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. But I mean, if it was the Game of Thrones thing, then it wouldn't have been Tony Stark flying the missile up. They would have found some extra just to jump in and do the whole job for him.
Some woman would be. Tony Stark falls just as it
Closing up.
closes. Yeah.
And he's not slowing down, so Hulk jumps up to catch him.
No, but he puts him down on the ground really gently, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Just jumps him on the ground.
Well, compared to what he was gonna, hit the ground with, yeah. I like how he wakes him up. He's like,
Yeah,
"Ah!" He's like,
yeah.
"Ah!"
Yeah,
That was
great.
improvised by Mark Ruffalo when he was in the mocap suit, standing over him, just decided to shout at him.
Wow.
This is the Swarmer thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't they have to go and deal
Drink
with
now.
Loki first?
Yeah. I think I'll have that drink now.
Too late, sucker.
And then they spoilt the memory of this film with Endgame. Oh God, why?
Yeah. Even this ending scene right here was amazing as well.
Yeah,
Just the little
Yeah.
things like where you see characters like whispering to each other and, you know, just sort of saying something amusing about Loki, like what a douche or something like that, you know. And it's just nice little bits like that characters actually would do really in real life. And I love the way they've added that. That's Joss Whedon again. I mean, say what you like about him being a not particularly nice person, but man, the guy's a talent when it comes to things like this.
Well, he screwed up the first Justice League. That's all I'm going to say about that.
to be honest, wasn't his fault really. He was put in an impossible situation. I don't know why. I mean, I can't obviously talk about or can't justify what he's done when he's on set and to all his other actors, but he was put in an impossible situation. Plus, the pay packet for him doing that must have been huge for him to do that. But think about it; it's an impossible situation. The whole finishing the film within this amount of time, the whole rewriting the whole thing, and then going back to post and coloring it a different color.
But it's weird, right? Like, so you're in the DC universe, and it's like basically him trying to turn it into the Avengers, and it doesn't work
was his
because
brief.
Justice League isn't like that.
Yeah, but the thing is that the people that were in charge, they don't have an imagination. All they saw was the success of Avengers, and they wanted the success of the Avengers. And his brief was to actually make it as colorful and as funny as the Avengers. That's why they hired him. And if somebody comes up to you and you know the project is shit, and they give you say, right, we're going to give you 10 million pounds to do it, you're going to go, yes, aren't you? You're going to go,
right?
yeah, okay, I'll do it. Do you know
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
I'd throw in the Snyder cut is about, it takes an extra third of the time to be about a third again as bad. Because the only meaningful differences are that he uses slow-mo more, and his jokes are worse, and the choices of music are worse. So it's not exactly as though.
Better.
Oh, fair. Some people did. I know a lot of people were just clinging on for it, weren't they? They were really desperate to see the Snyder Cut release. I just thought it was longer and worse, personally. But
I thought it was better, but I didn't think it was by much. Personally, the special effects was better, but it just the whole story doesn't make any sense. It's dumb. It's stupid. And especially the bit where Lois Lane is the green fella. She turns into the green fella. So what the whole conversation between her and Martha? What was the point of that if it wasn't Lois Lane? Do you know what I mean? Things like that in it, and it just kind of spoilt it a bit. But I did enjoy it though. It was better than the Joss Whedon version, personally. I thought.
Well, one thing to be said for the Whedon version is that it gave us Henry Cavill's upper lip. So
yeah,
there was that. That was fun.
See, why didn't they just have him have a beard? Because he's Superman and he's just come back to life. So maybe he grew a beard or something. Just play on it. Rather than just eliminate it completely. It was just stupid. And at the beginning, sorry.
Chris Evans did in the
Shawarma scene.
Shawarma scene. He actually had a beard.
That's why he's hiding his face.
Yeah, he's the only one not eating in that scene, isn't he?
Yeah,
you can see his hand over his face or whatever.
I like how Bruce went with Iron Man at the end in the car. They both get in the car, don't they?
Yeah.
There's the council. I think they're from Wandsworth. Wandsworth Council. I think they look like them. So Jenny Agutter, which I used to fancy when she was young, and they got Powers Booths in the middle, and I don't know what the Russian guy is. I think he's famous for doing something. But they're all famous actors here in Shadow.
on the previous point, Romeo in the chat says Justice League was trying to do the work of 4 films in less than 2 hours with a wildly different tone. Joss was up against it. I prefer the Snyder Cut as it is more complete and tonally consistent. If you don't count The Flash doing a slow-mo shot with some sad music as a sausage roll flows slowly across his vision, that's fine. It's definitely more tonally consistent. Loki with a ball gag.
Yeah. Well, thank God he's not crying.
Yeah, being kneed in the bollocks. This
Could have kept that and put it over his scrotum after.
Oh God.
He's probably got one there as well, just in case. The thing that they're standing on, it looks like some kind of is that like a pre-planned gateway to Asgard or something? Because it looks like it's made of Viking runes or something, or Celtic.
Yeah, it looks like it when you see. I think you see it. It's a few slides back, but
yeah. It looks like it's got. Well, after I saw them do this transportation thing, I thought because I know the Bifrost leaves a mark behind a lot of the time, doesn't it? After it manifests.
Yeah, but I thought they said the Bifrost was still broken, and I think they used the Tesseract to teleport because they both put their hands on that thing that it was in, and
the Tesseract is a space stone, so it can transport you from one place to another.
Right. Yeah. So this thing they're standing on, then that must be some kind of specific. I don't know what it is, why they're standing on it, but
it's maybe just a design choice. It certainly looks as if it does have some relevance in the earlier scene.
I think it has relevance to Thor's world, because when he left in Ultron, it had the same pattern, didn't it, in the grass?
Yeah.
And then he says he's got no respect for what is it? I can't remember the line that he says, Iron Man. But yeah, I think it's something to do with I don't know. Who cares? There he is, Captain America, but you don't see his arse, so Reni's disappointed here.
I'll get over it.
Bet she'd love to get over it.
That was a great shot there when you're like, oh yes, it's going to be the Avengers building.
Exactly.
Excellent.
That was pretty cool whenever I saw that in the theater. Back to the Avengers.
Here is the Tesseract.
So I know we mentioned earlier about how major villains seem to just spend the entire time sitting around on chess. Do you think he could have found a more interesting place to sit, though? Because he seems to be on an empty asteroid in the middle of space. What does he do while he's sitting there doing nothing?
Ponders life.
Does he watch TV or ponders life?
Well, one of those rocks has probably got TV hidden in it, and he presses a switch and it comes out. Like one of those.
Maybe he's watching like space porn.
TV beds.
There's another rock that's got a fridge in it.
Yeah, exactly. You ever watched the Hair Bear Bunch? They used to have all that stuff, didn't they, in the cave?
But do we not? Is it not confirmed? I mean, or is it not confirmed that what he's sitting on is not a toilet? So
could be.
It could just be his bathroom.
Yeah, but if you were a villain, would you want your minions bothering you while you were taking a dump? I mean,
but he's an alien, isn't he? What we're ashamed of, he's probably not ashamed of it. He's an alien. It's a different race.
Yeah. I mean, in the comics, he fancies death, for God's sake. So
yes, Lady Death or whatever.
What a big chin he's got.
He's Thanos.
Looks a bit different there.
Yeah, they improve his CGI quite a lot, don't they, over the course of it?
Oh yeah.
And he's less purple in subsequent films.
Good performance though by what's his face?
Alexis.
Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
I don't think he was.
Oh, I thought you meant this one.
No, I don't think he was Thanos in this film, was he?
No, he wasn't.
No,
but in the ones, yeah.
They are unruly. To challenge them is to court death. And he just turns around and grins like, "Oh, death!"
Yeah.
I am having a poo. Come back.
Oh my God! Yes, please.
See, he's not smiling there. He's actually delivering one right there. That's why his face is like that.
And he's more of a smirk,
any second.
And he basically he's asking for a toilet roll. I've run out, mate. Can you get me one?
Yeah, he's about to. He's passing the 6th Infinity Stone right now at this moment.
Yeah.
Well, on the subject of things that give you the shits.
What a segue.
Shawarma.
Why does Scarlett Johansson look like a little baby there, little child?
That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, very weird.
Like they're all sitting opposite each other. None of them are making eye contact.
That's because they're tired.
Yeah,
They've just
It's-
come
it's just
from.
weird. It's weird though, isn't it? You'd sort of sit there in silence and not be acknowledging each
But
other.
if you look closely, the whole place is wrecked because of it. It's got rubble on the
Yeah.
table next to Captain America. They're sweeping up in the background. You know what I mean? So they probably could give them the food for free because they saved New York, and they're just sitting there eating knackered.
I like
Yeah,
that.
they
I like
look
the
like
fact
the-
that they're all just staring into space. Anyone who's done a 12-hour night shift will know what
Yeah.
that looks all about. 1,000-yard stare.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Let's not call in tomorrow.
What's his name's hiding his beard, isn't he?
Yeah.
Chris Evans.
Yes.
But they did that. They did that last moment, didn't they? That scene. They did
I
it at the
think
last
so.
moment. Yeah.
Very
Because he
good
was
addition.
filming something else or something.
Yeah, great post-credit scene because they all had the post-credits thing, didn't they? Up to this point, that was just nice to see that because obviously you couldn't really lead into anything else directly. So we've had Thanos, and then we had this extra little bit on the end, which was perfect.
Which wasn't in the UK version, apparently. So I was told because I never saw it when I was watching the film.
Okay.
When I
Sure.
first
Yeah.
watched it, so I watched it when it was first released
Hmm.
in the UK.
I remember the first time
remember-
I streamed it online. Yeah, I remember seeing it the first time I streamed it and thinking I didn't see that the first time I'd watched it, but it might be that I just left the cinema before that point.
Well, it's just my brother told me about it, and there was so before because it got released in Canada first, I think. No, it got released in UK first, and then my brother told me that there's a scene at the ending, and I said there's no scene in the ending in the version I saw, and then I think a week later they had a pirate version of this scene that somebody videoed off the cinema screen on YouTube. So it wasn't in the original version of the British version.
I remember some of the American folk online saying it was okay. The UK might have got it earlier, but at least we got to see this scene.
Yeah. I remember saying that too. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, we got it first, didn't we? That was really bizarre, wasn't it?
Yeah, we got it first.
And Mr. Brown's contention is that it was in the UK edition. So,
Well, maybe later, but not when it was first released.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think I'm wrong about that because I literally stayed towards the ending to see if there was anything at the ending, and there wasn't. This scene was not there, was not attached to it. So anyway, whatever.
fair enough. It's probably a good sign for the film, though, that the most contentious aspect of it was whether or not the shawarma scene was in the UK or the US version, because everybody else seems to have agreed on virtually all of its merits until this point.
Yeah.
And this is the last scene in the film, isn't it? So this brings us to the close of the slides part of the program, as far as I know anyway. So please, of course, do consider to like and subscribe and share and all the rest of it to the channel. And the next stream, which is going to be hosted not by me nor by Mr. Brown, because he is just taking an extended leave of absence from his own stream, is going to be hosted by Ruin Johnson. It will look at the rise of Skywalker. And we're all very, very much looking forward to that. Because if you liked the Avengers and you thought the Avengers was good, just wait till you see the rise of Skywalker, because it does everything that the Avengers does and makes it so much better. So
You're on your own, lads. You're on your own.
we actually
Fair, Ian.
we did a green room on this last night, and it was very good fun. So I'm sure you will enjoy that stream. So that's Anyway, that brings us to the end of the slides part of the show. Anyway, as mentioned. So we've got. I reckon we can do maybe sort of 10 minutes and sort of round off at a nice even 3 hours. So if we sort of go through and everybody gives their sort of final takeaways, impressions, what they think of the film now they've just relived all of it, and long it out for the 10 minutes if you can, and we'll end on a nice round-ish number. So who wants to go first? Brian, do you want to go first?
Oh, bugger, I've just written a nice little brief description thinking we're going to be getting off quickly. Oh, well, I suppose I could speak very slowly, couldn't I?
Yes, do a Clement Freud, just speak very slowly.
Yes. Overall, an incredibly fun film. I think there was some terrific performances all round. Hiddleston, for me, again, was the standout performer in among a whole load of decent performances. The script was really decent. The effects were terrific, I thought, especially when you think back to 2012 and how it's come on these days. It still very much holds up. What I really wish after seeing it today was that they could make more movies like this. I think it's sadly lacking something. It just is 100% or nearly 100% escapism. I think we need that these days, especially after what we've all been through the last few years. It's kind of sad that they don't.
Yeah, peculiar, isn't it? Because we almost need it more now than we did back then. We got it then. We particularly need it now. Not to sort of manufacture talking points, but is there a reason? Does anybody in the panel or indeed in the chat have an opinion as to why we can't do this stuff now that we need it? Or Brian, do you have an opinion on that?
It seems to be certain films these days have to hit specific political points and hammer them home consistently. There doesn't seem to be any respite from that, and it's demanded on, especially places like Twitter with that strong uber left wing bias that it has. And I think there's an awful lot of people missing out, and I don't know where the enjoyment comes from with people who demand this constantly. I think there's definitely a time and a place for that kind of thing, but not always, not all the time. And most of these films these days are just constantly on message, which really is a bit of a shame. We need to get more of a balance, I think.
Yes, it is the message, isn't it? It's all important. Swap Shop, do you want to go next? Your sort of takeaways from the film.
Yeah. It gave me just infinite optimism for the future of superhero movies after people saying, oh, they're just going to burn out. I think we've had too many of them. There's not really much more they can do with them. And then this film came out and just blew all of the cynicism away. And I was super excited for what was to come in the MCU. Future team-up movies, future single movies, you name it. I was totally on board after this. You know, X-Men being brought into it or whatever they could do, maybe Spider-Man somewhere down the line. You know, the possibilities were endless. And it was... I felt like on a massive high when I walked out of the film because I was so surprised by how good it was. And again, to another extent, Guardians of the Galaxy got me the same way. And I thought, you know, when that film came out as well, I thought, wow, this is just incredible what they're doing right here. We have no right to be treated to something so amazing. You know, this is so unexpected. And it's just such a shame that it's gone in the opposite direction, really. But like you said, it's a film that we need now, but was released back then. And it's like in the 1970s when the world was going through a really depressive period with the Vietnam War and, you know, the banking situation and just general financial climate everywhere. People were struggling generally, emotionally and in their lives. And then Star Wars came out and just turned the planet into an amazing, wonderful playground of excitement again. Overnight from just one movie. You know, it captured everyone's imaginations, it skyrocketed their optimism, and the world just utterly adored it. And it was the same for this. And I don't know if anything's in the works right now to bring that, you know, kind of entertainment back or anything. I don't know, but we do need that injection of pure escapist entertainment back in cinemas to give us that lift, because my God, we're in the doldrums. Everyone is. But, you know, we can always go back and watch this movie over and over again, and it never really gets old. And I think that's a huge testament to this movie, the fact that I think it's going to stand the test of time, like Superman did and Superman 2, and so many other movies of that ilk. You know, they're still great films, even though special effects might not be that great, etc. They're still, the writing's there, the acting's there, you know, the directing, and they're never ever going to age. And I think this is one of those movies that hit every nail on the head perfectly. Even with its criticisms, doesn't matter, still great. And I'm just glad we got it, and I'm glad that this film it set the bar, it still is the bar, and hopefully movie makers, writers and directors will still try to top that bar in the future. So we'll have to wait and see. But that's my takeaway from it. I just utterly loved it. Still do now, and own it on 3D Blu-ray disc. That I've seen it in 3D, and it added a whole new, would say dimension, but that's too corny. A whole new, element to the film that blew me away again when I saw it for the second time. So, what is left to say about it other than it's just an awesome superhero film, amazing escapism, and great sci-fi.
Very well said. Z, your turn.
Oh, bollocks. Well, he said everything, hasn't he? I don't think I've ever come out of a cinema as an adult being so thoroughly entertained.
Oh, yeah.
There's always something that you'll pick up on, something that you didn't like certain effects or certain scenes, certain characters, but it all just seemed to gel together. And the pace of the film was absolutely perfect. I mean, you can tell it's Joss Whedon because it's got the same sort of humor beats as things like Firefly and Buffy, but didn't mind that. All the characters just seemed spot on to how I remember them in the comics. And I was jaw dropped right the way through the entire thing. It's like Swap has said, what have I done to sit down and deserve to watch this? it was absolutely magnificent, and it really, really did set the standard for other films to follow. And there are very few other films in the MCU that are that good.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if you apologize to the wife, she will let you watch it again. But I'll say we'll do a quick round robin marks out of 10 once everyone's done their recap, so we haven't forgotten that, Mr. Brown, do not worry. Mega Geek, do you want to go next? Your takeaway from this film?
No, I personally just loved it. I mean, everybody said exactly what I'm going to say. It's a really good film. It's really enjoyable from start to finish. The reason why it works so well is because you invested time on the Thor character from his separate film, as well as Captain America and the rest of them, really. So it was building up to this film, and it was achieved, with passion from Joss Whedon. And it's a very well written script. It's not perfect. The film, no film is perfect, but this film was entertaining as far as I'm concerned. And the only reason why I liked it was because I'm a huge comic book fan of the 70s comics, and I know these characters. So obviously I'm a little biased when it comes to, a film like this. I personally loved it, and I don't know anyone. Actually, I do know one person that didn't like it, but then again, he's a bit of a dick. But apart from that, seriously, it's a great movie, and I encourage anyone who hasn't seen it to watch it. That's me.
Fantastic. And finally, Reni, it's your go.
Okay, well, I think everybody's pretty much said everything. Just a very fun film. Like Ian, as a comic book reader, I really was excited to see the Avengers together. So it's nice to enjoy their individual films, but to actually see them work together and still maintain their personalities and see how they play off of each other was really fun. My favorite MCU movie, well, I don't really consider it MCU or Marvel movie of all time, is going to be Iron Man, of course. But yeah, so I don't know. It's a really fun movie, really enjoyable. And watching it today, it just didn't feel like it was 10 years old, so good fun.
Very good. I don't think I need to add anything to any of that. As the parliamentarian once said, everything has been said, but not everyone has said it yet. But I don't need to. No, I think you've all summed that up nicely. So just all that's left is marks out of 10, I suppose, and we'll do that in reverse order. So Reni, your mark out of 10.
I'm going to give it at least an 8.
8 for Reni. Mega Geek?
9.
8, 9. Z?
A 9 for me as well.
8, 9, 9. Swap Shop?
Yeah, I can't quite give it a 10. It's nearly there. So, yeah, 9.7 probably.
High praise indeed. And Brian?
I'll give it a very solid 8.
Very good. I think I'm going to go for a solid 8 as well. Yeah, no, it's nice. We've got it's nice to have a film like The Avengers to remind you that we are sometimes capable of producing stuff that unites everyone, and that we can all unambiguously say is, yeah, it's a good feel good film. It doesn't hate the audience. It's not trying to divide us. It's trying to teach us good old fashioned lessons and extol the values of good old fashioned filmmaking. So more of that would be nice. I'm not sure we'll see it again from the superhero genre anytime soon, though, whilst Marvel is still Disney. But that brings us pretty much to the top of our hour. So all that's left for me to do is first to thank the chat. So thank you to everyone in chat, and to thank the guests. So thank you to Brian.
Thanks to Matt, Reni, Ian, Z, the chat, and Ben. Great job tonight, mate. Thank you. Well done.
Well, say it in a day if the stream hasn't been taken down. Thank you to Swap Shop.
No, thank you. Superb job, Ben. Amazing. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Z. Thanks, Ian and Reni. Just wonderful streaming with you guys. Absolute joy. A real treat and a great film.
Nice words. Thank you to Z.
You are an absolute bunch of lovely people.
I wasn't expecting the lovely people.
I know. I was expecting an insult.
Yeah, all a bag of dicks. It's always a pleasure to come on with you guys, and even more of a pleasure was to watch this film again. Love it.
Thanks again to the ever excellent Mega Geek.
Yeah, cheers everybody. I enjoyed this stream and I enjoyed the film as well. So yeah. Cheers ears.
And finally, thank you and welcome back to Reni.
Yeah, thank you, Lost Chord. You did a great job hosting, and it's great to talk to you again, Brian, Matt, Ian, and Z. And Brown, you can still have that big bag of dicks I got waiting for you. But yeah, it's great to be back, and missed you guys. And this was a lot of fun, not only talking about the movie, but being able to watch it again. I haven't watched it in a couple years, so that's nice.
Fantastic. Well, we'll say goodbye on that happy note. And this is where I boomer it up and don't end the broadcast properly. But I hope I do it correctly. Thank you again to everyone, and we'll see you again hopefully tomorrow at 10:30. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.